Today's show is brought to you by Lovable. Here we go.
We've got an international master in the Dave Cave, and we've got two grandmasters here in the Take studio. Let's get ready for game week 9.
Looks like Farouche is almost getting it done on the board. Should still be a draw. He's losing now suddenly.
He's throwing a thorn into the white side, holding on here for dear life. The nerves are kicking in.
He's playing with Ghost, afraid to commit.
Did he lose on time?
The clock is his worst enemy right now. Oh, look at this. He's trapped his own king in the corner. The black rook is hit as well.
Whoa, is this a blunder?
Checkmate is coming.
Welcome to another week of Title Tuesday, and here with me in the studio, two grandmasters today. We've got David Howell as always, and you're ready?
I'm ready. It's Tuesday, my favorite day of the week.
Oh, and also with us we have Grandmaster Jon Ludvig Hammer. That's how I say your name, because I've worked with you for 5 years now in Norwegian TV, communicating chess, and you've been doing that for a decade. But now you've informed me that internationally, Jon Ludvig, that doesn't have the same chime.
I lived in the US for a year when I was a kid, and basically we had to give up the whole Jon Ludvig spiel. It ended up that my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Muller, she said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And she spelled out Yoon like moon, Y-O-O-N. And so I was known as Yoon throughout fourth grade.
And that's how
I want that to stick. So I've been calling myself Hammer to an international audience since.
Okay, I'll continue to call you Jon Ludvig. And you've also been covering Title Tuesday. All the weeks that David and I have been sitting here, you've been covering it on Norwegian TV.
I can honestly say I have watched you guys every single week. But this is my first time in the studio, and I'm looking forward to it.
And how are you planning to adapt to the international audience? I mean, when we're following chess on Norwegian TV, it's Magnus, it's is he going to win the tournament? And it's paying attention to all the other Norwegians playing as well. Now we can't have the same focus.
I'm a chess player more than a Norwegian at heart.
Okay.
So I welcome the opportunity to get to watch some other things than only Magnus's games. Because it can be a bit... well, he just keeps on winning, doesn't he? You want to see the specter of action in the field.
And you have been Magnus's second. You've been his coach in the first World Championship match that he played and that he ended up winning. And now it's not too long until we're going to have the candidates tournament. And are you excited to see what kinds of coaches and people will be unraveled after that tournament? What is your anticipation like? Because here, this was you guys back in the days.
Very, very happy. This is a day after Magnus won the World Championship title. We're playing in some very run-down gym in Chennai, playing soccer and basketball. Absolutely fantastic day. And these are the emotions that the 8 candidates are hoping to feel. And yeah, I think the coaches definitely play a role. The games on the board, of course, going to be the most important. But I also think like the coaches influence the decisions of the players, right? And maybe more so with the other players than Magnus. Because working with Magnus, you're trying to help him survive the opening. And for a lot of the other players, the goal is to win the opening battle. So working with Magnus, as opposed to working with some of the other players who are more dependent on getting that edge from their openings, I think is a different experience.
And David, you've also been a second.
Yes.
In the past. And who have you been working with then?
Oh, not
Or
Magnus.
are you allowed to say? Are you even allowed to say?
It's been a while now. It's been over 10 years. I worked with Fabiano for a few weeks. Then he quickly realized that openings weren't the strongest part of my game. So he was like, it's been nice knowing you. Move along. And then I was a second for Peter Svidler at the 2016 Candidates Tournament, which openings-wise was very successful. But of course, he didn't make it. So it was a fun experience. Very tiring, though, very draining. Emotionally, you're kind of experiencing every up and down with the players. And I admire the seconds out there, brave enough to take on the job.
And my favorite part leading up to the Candidates Tournament is kind of speculating who is helping who. Because this is a tournament where they're all going to face each other and they already know their opponents. So if you know their seconds and you know what kinds of openings they're going for, you can really get an advantage. So we have a graphic showing some of our speculations. We also have here who some of the players have worked with in the past, who have been their longtime coaches, and what is your first thought when you see this, Jon Ludvig?
I think it's very interesting to see how Fabiano shuffles his seconds, and also now that I honestly for the first time didn't know David had been working with Fabi, but it kind of confirms my impression that he's working with a lot of people, and he's not necessarily staying true to one person, but trying to get a lot of different impulses, very similar to what Magnus has been doing as well. Giri, actually, I have an addition to that because at the Grand Swiss Tournament in Uzbekistan, I met with my good old friend, who I haven't seen in many, many years, Jan Smeets, who was there working with Anish. So that is definitely...
extra information.
Yeah, some speculation there. Bleebaum, I gotta say, also from Uzbekistan, which is like my one insight into the top level scene. He was hanging out with the Germans before every round. So Kamer, Svane, both Svanes, and also I would say like Kollers and Wagner, Donchenko, all of those guys are very, very close, which I think is part of the reason they have had this rise in German chess, because there are all these guys, all 2,600 plus, and everyone really working together and pushing each other forward.
And that's why I guess we also have Sindarov here. We have Abdusattorov, and he has been working with Kramnik, who was the coach of the Uzbek team in the previous Olympiad. So that could be something to look out for. I mean, Kramnik, he's a controversial figure in the chess scene, but probably a good second. I mean, he has a lot of world championship experience.
Yeah, I can understand why they might want to keep it hush-hush. Might not want to boast about the fact they might be working with Kramnik, some of these players. But of course, experience is the key. That's why in this graphic, I've speculated that Wei Yi should be trying to get Ding Liren on board as part of his team. That would be a fun, dynamic duo. And
then, of course, Hikaru, he has been working with Chris Littlejohn for more than 17 years. And it's going to be exciting to see. He's like one of the only players in the very top that I know of that isn't really having his head coach as a grandmaster, but rather somebody with a lot of computer skills and like other insights. So that I think is very cool. And some of these seconds are perhaps helping, for example, Giri right now in the Tata Steel tournament, which has been going on. And that's kind of the focus of the chess world these days. And this is the list we have after 8 rounds are done. But they're going to play today, and they're going to play until the 31st of January. What stands out to you here, Jon Ludvig?
Well, I mean, the two Uzbeks in charge. What a couple of years Uzbekistan has had on the chess scene. Sure, they had Kazimdzhanov winning the World Cup, getting that FIDE World Championship title back in the 2000s, but this is just another level, and they're really making their mark on the chess scene.
But also, David, there's been a lot of huge mistakes in this Tata Steel. Like, people at this level losing pieces left and right. What is going on there?
Yeah, there's something in the windy air out there on the coast of the North Sea, out in Vaikanze, because Gukesh blundering a rook in one move, probably the worst one-move blunder I've seen by a world champion ever.
Wow.
Anish Giri was blundering a piece in one move against Vincent Keimer as early as round 1. There have been odd, uncharacteristic mistakes. Perhaps it's just because it's such a young field. They're all kind of hungry to win. They want to take these big risks. but also maybe the candidates, especially other than Sindarov, not quite performing their best. It might be because they're trying to hide opening preparation and saving their best for in a couple of months' time.
And also in Tata Steel, they don't have increment per move, which actually is the same case here in Title Tuesday. When we take a look at the time control here, there's 5 minutes on the clock for each player, 11 rounds back to back, very intense, and no extra time. And how does that affect your job as a commentator, Jon Ludvig, the fact that there isn't any increment?
Well, it makes the scrambles very, very chaotic. I'm very surprised to see that the no increment hasn't kind of helped a person I thought would benefit from this, which is Hikaru Nakamura. His pace in the time scrambles and his accuracy and ability to put pressure on the opponents, I thought was pretty much unrivaled. So I thought he would really show everyone why he is one of the two big ones as far as internet chess is concerned. He hasn't been performing very well in this winter split, and that has really come as a surprise to me, given his how good he is with the no increment.
And let's take a look at the winter split so far, because there are some of the players who are in Vaikonse playing right now who would really love to get more points. I mean, look at Sindarov, Kamer's up there, and they have to prioritize playing classical chess today, and then other players might pass them on this leaderboard. And it's also important to do well in Split 2 here, because that is the qualifier for the Chess.com Global Championship in April. So this is quite important, and it's difficult to juggle several tournaments at the same time. But let's take a look at who has signed up so far, because we're only minutes away, and we can see, hooray, that the best players, they've signed up, Magnus and Hikaru. I'm always happy to see them prioritizing this tournament. And I'm also scanning to see anyone from Vike playing here. David, do we see anything?
Oh, not yet. I did see that Hans Niemann had a quick draw today in Vaikonse, so he could have signed up. Vincent Keimer's about to lose his game, but probably he's going to be a bit too late to join the fray here. But yeah, I think we're still pretty blessed with some of the top players in the world. Some candidates like Caruana. It's going to be a fun one.
And one player that we do know for sure is going to play is Alex Banzea, who is sitting in the Dave Cave right now. As we can see, he's getting ready to stream, and we are excited to see how he's going to do. He's created a lot of opening courses and has become quite a popular YouTuber. Let's get to know him a little bit better.
I'm international master from Romania, Alex Banzea. I used to be a professional chess player for about 10 years. I consider myself to be one of the best players in my country, in Romania, but I am retired for almost 5 years now. For the last years, I turned myself into a content creator and a chess author. Okay, so if we go on my YouTube channel, I have one with David, so I'm telling you, just meeting David today is one of my childhood dreams. I have a 3-hour video where I just go over David Howell games. And
oh really? Let me see that.
Yeah.
Is it he in thumbnail there?
He is in thumbnail, yes. I made this 3 years ago. He plays the Caro-Kann a lot, and he's a world-class player. Title Tuesday, there are no easy players. If you play in a normal tournament, you're gonna play against somebody strong, then somebody weak. In Title Tuesday, since everybody has a title, you can lose every single game if you're not focused. Last Title Tuesday I played was one of the best I ever had. I had 7 out of 11. But considering that today I'm playing in Magnus' office, I think we can beat that score.
Oh, just take that rook. No, Alan should be taking black's rook. Now it's going to be checkmate.
Easy.
Magnus gets it just in time. 2 seconds.
Very easy.
White's best move, apparently, to get a big advantage is to play d5.
Oh, wow. Impossible to find.
Impossible. That square is covered literally 4 times. Pawn, pawn, knight, queen.
If he goes king b1, that's a move I'm happy to see, because that means he couldn't find anything, so now I can just like play normal chess, like queen d7. So that's just ridiculous. King a3, queen a4 is just checkmate.
And now we see Magnus. Can he win it? He got the rooks off the board. He can play this one forever.
Yeah.
There we go. A new queen is born. The knight was hanging, but Magnus is just playing for time now.
Magnus actually managed to checkmate him on time.
Okay, tough game.
tough game was the final word that Magnus said, and we are now getting ready to see the pairings for the first round, because it is rumored that Vaikanse player Arjun Erigaisi, he has signed up. We see him there as the 17th ranked guy. That's fun, David.
Yeah, I mentioned that quick draw against Hans Niemann. Hans clearly didn't make it back to his hotel room quick enough, but Arjun was running. And nice to see him playing. He's been a bit out of form in Vaikanse. This might be a good way to change that momentum.
And here we see that Magnus, he is facing off his first opponent. I always react to these icons that we get. This is one of the more original ones. Let's see, what kind of opening is Magnus choosing here?
Okay, it started life as a Sicilian. Magnus there was inviting an open Sicilian, but it looks like it's more of the closed variety. White is likely to just get castled, just get pieces out, but maybe not the most ambitious way to challenge Magnus. Normally you have to be quite direct against him to stand any chance. I do fear that this kind of slower game is going to favor the world number one.
Wow, and there we get him. There we get this BVNUM. That might be his Chess.com username. But anyhow, he is playing against Magnus in the first round, which is always an honor. And I really want, when I've played in Title Tuesday, that's like my dream, to face one of these top guys. But to be able to face them, because of the way that they set up the rounds, you have to have a really high rating.
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, it's my nightmare. Because I don't like losing, and playing in Title Tuesday, you're going to lose a lot of games, and your ability to cope with those losses is a big part, I feel, of having success.
Definitely bouncing back. We've seen even Magnus lose early and somehow find the willpower to keep going, to stay focused, and he looks pretty happy today. I've got to say, Magnus, smiling, probably streaming, and yeah, kind of, well, maximum tension now in the center. It does feel like White's pieces just aren't ready for this action. I'm looking at a knight having had to retreat there. Magnus opening up the center for his bishops, and okay, now an isolated pawn in the center. Okay, at least there's a threat though, hitting this bishop, which is likely to step either back or forward to hit the white rook.
It's not just an isolated pawn in the center, though, right? Because this pawn is blocking White's fianchettoed bishop. And if you look at Magnus's bishop, fianchettoed on the long diagonal in comparison, it's just a world of difference.
Yeah, and beautiful outpost in front of the isolated pawn that any of the black pieces could later occupy. Magnus is willing to give up the bishops because he's going to play against the white bad bishop on g2 that you mentioned there. Okay, I'm surprised it's this much better for black according to the eval bar, but it is Magnus.
Yeah, look at how he's chilling right now. And I have been informed that it's Bynum, not BVNUM, as I was saying. So I'm sorry for not being able to read. And he is a national master from the United States, 18 years old. So relatively young, and facing Magnus in the first round. And it seems like, although Magnus is better, it doesn't seem like Bynum is in any way in a hopeless situation so far.
No, still solid. The problem, though, might later be a weak pawn on a dark square. Magnus, at some point, especially if the knights come off the board, could start attacking on those dark squares. He's up a bit on time as well. That tends to be a pattern in these early Title Tuesday games. Magnus keeping a bit of time in the bank, improving his pieces. It just feels like an easy position to play for black. What is White's plan? Bishop now incoming, pawn attacked. Getting more and more difficult to defend all the holes in White's camp.
But at least now you got the bishop back to cover. I feel like Magnus could have gone for that attack against the white kingside pawns a bit earlier, before the white bishop was able to join the defense. And now the problem White had, I felt, was that the bishop and rook on the queen side was still in their starting positions. Now the pieces are actually coming out. And even though Magnus is better because of the superior pawn formation, I don't think it's that much.
Yeah, still needs the plan to break through. Magnus is happy. Maybe we can check out what he's saying to himself here.
Some potential play over here. This is actually not threatened. So let's go queen f6. No, then it is threatened. What am I doing?
Okay, so it seems like Magnus needs to wake up a little bit, but he's always like this in the first round, I feel like. He needs to kind of... So now he's protecting a pawn after declaring that it wasn't threatened. That was a bit of a thing that he admitted right now.
Yeah, but I do find it very interesting kind of watching the development of how Magnus has been approaching these first round games. He's playing a lot better openings now than he did in the past. Previously, he would play some really dubious stuff and kind of being like, I'm a better player, I'm going to win anyway. But now he's playing the Sicilian, he's getting his pieces out, he's controlling the center, and I feel like a couple of times he has actually given away points in the first 2-3 rounds, and I think that has affected his approach.
That's partly our fault here at Take. We run an opening poll telling him he has to play certain openings. Knight A3 on move 1 and the hippopotamus, the cow opening, all these things. So we've stopped doing that, and maybe no coincidence that the results have picked up.
And I guess also, like, he is facing very good players and then playing really bad openings. I mean, even if you're the best chess player in the world, it can really make it a difficult task. And you also kind of want that first game as a little bit of a warm-up because more difficult opponents are waiting, and it's important to take it seriously from the start here. And now Magnus, he is up on time by quite a bit. He's threatening several pawns. His advantage is increasing. Looks good.
Oh, it's very good. It's just that dark square domination. Magnus's king is super safe next to its knight here on the edge of the board. And he can start exchanging pieces if he wants. He's... Whoa!
Oh my God!
Has blundered! Magnus has blundered! Checkmate! That's checkmate!
What a way to play your first game against the world champion.
Wow. Even Magnus applauding that. That is going to be the best moment of Bynum's career so far. Look at him, he can hardly believe it. Rook h7 is checkmate, next move.
That came out of no... You were just saying how safe the king was, and I was agreeing with you.
That was so hidden, and he saw it immediately. That was so sneaky.
Oh my goodness.
Against David Anton, where I allowed a queen sack for checkmate, but then he didn't actually find it. But now it was found, and... Yeah, it just goes to show that studying puzzles is sometimes a good thing.
Yeah, Magnus the other week, he was saying that puzzles, he doesn't think that that's the best way to practice chess or to improve your chess because you won't always know in a game if there's actually a puzzle ahead of you. But there, he actually ended up losing just as we were saying that he was doing so well. But let's instead root for our neighbor in the other room here, Alex Banzea, who is playing against Klukin. And both quite low on time, but Alex, less than a minute. He needs to pick up his speed because they haven't played that many moves, it seems.
Oh, this is going to be a tight one at the end. It feels like the clock will play a huge role. There's no obvious moves for either side. White's rook can go and grab a pawn, but probably that is counterproductive. Needs to be calculated, though. Lots of tension here. Both sides have weaknesses. Slightly better according to the evaluation bar for black. Slightly surprising to my eyes, but here it does feel like Klukin is struggling to find moves. Panicking. Both players streaming. That's going to slow them down. Oh, Banzea, yeah, he needs a quick start, it feels like, to this tournament. And yeah, we're all rooting for him, of course, but this is not going to be easy.
If he has spent this time now thinking, I need to speed up, then I think that could give him a huge edge in the next phase.
Oh.
It's going to be all about the pace now for the next couple of moves.
Exactly.
Which he's not showcasing.
He was calculating, but now there are some tricks based on the black knight. The black bishop is overwhelmed here. It needs to defend its queen, cannot go back and take the rook. You have to be careful here. Do you trade rooks and then start marching forward with the king? Might be forced. Okay, he blocks with the rook.
Still equal on material.
Still equal, but White's king is going to be quite safe. I've said that once already. It's going to stay protected by its knight. Easier to play with White here. You can give so many checks.
Both quite low on time, though.
The clock. It's a balanced endgame now, apparently, but 18 seconds doesn't feel like enough. Klukin's going to go for the win. He's not going to repeat the position, surely. He's going to push his central pawn. There we go. G3 is hanging, though. Oh, now the White king's not safe.
Okay, 12 seconds.
12 seconds. He's aware.
He knows he just needs to push his pawn along the side of the board to move the knight away from its defense.
Okay, the black bishop drops back.
Given him the h-pawn.
Ooh. He's not going fast enough.
So slow. There we go. He's lost his winning advantage.
What? Oh.
Ooh, 6 seconds though. Oh, that feels wrong. That feels so wrong. And okay, he's swapping off the queens.
Yeah, the queen trade, you stand no chance with the time.
Oh, especially now because the white knight keeps the black king out. And there we go. The clock decides it. Alex Banzea falls to defeat.
Oh, but that was a very, very exciting end to that game. But sadly, a loss for Alex Banzea and a loss for Magnus Carlsen. We also see that Denis Lazovic surprisingly gets a draw in his first round. But wow, what an opportunity this could be for Hikaru, who wins his first game. So does Wesley. Many of the big names here. They could all catch up a lot of points in the winter split.
Great start for the big names, but I mean, I think we just have to come back to Bynum, showing this is his first time playing Magnus, and he goes ahead and plays that spectacular queen sacrifice. What a heroic way to start the tournament.
You have an en passant checkmate win against Magnus Carlsen. Is that the highlight of your chess career?
I wouldn't say it's the highlight, but it's certainly up there, and I would expect the same for Bynum, his epic queen sacrifice against Magnus.
That is amazing, and it's going to be an interesting way for Magnus ahead now in the tournament, where he's going to have to play against a lot of lower-rated players, and you have to catch up to the field. But let's instead focus on some of the players in the top of the field here. It seems like Hikaru, and of course, we need to follow Arjun Erigaisi, who has already been playing a classical chess game today and is now playing in Title Tuesday. How difficult do you guys think it is to make that transition?
Yeah, I think it can be tricky, especially if you're so locked in and things are going quite well in the classical. You just have this natural urge to think a bit more. But because Arjun has been struggling, at least by his high standards in Vaikanze, famously losing, for example, to 14-year-old talent Adomush just a few days ago, I think it's going to be a nice change of pace. It's going to be refreshing for him. And yeah, of course, he's very quick, very good at blitz himself. So we'll see. Maybe this could be his week, and maybe he'll start going on a winning streak in Vaikanze afterwards.
And he is playing against a German FIDE master, Möller, and he's obviously the favorite, Arjun Erigaisi here. It usually takes a couple of rounds before the very big names start facing off against each other, and here we see him as well.
Okay, so it wasn't your teacher, Mrs. Muller, who...
Yeah, it could have been.
I was frightened for a second there that we'd have to start calling you Yoon again. It is FM Muller from Germany.
But Arjun against Muller. So there is some kind of connection here.
Arjun has gotten a good grip of the center, and he's keeping that time advantage, which I think in these first couple of games is so crucial, especially now that we just saw Alex Banzea having a very good situation against his opponent, but just because he was 10 seconds down. It's not like he was 30 seconds down. It was just 10 seconds. But those 10 seconds in the final phases of the game, they mean everything. And I think a lot of these good players in the early rounds, they don't necessarily kind of crush their opponents, but they always have that time edge so that if they mess up the situation on the board, they have that bailout, just being quicker and using that as a kind of reserve weapon.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's so important. We've seen it so many times. There have been players who've kind of failed to make that adjustment, having played Title Tuesday for years. And as you mentioned, Alex Banzea, that position, what was it, 6 months ago, playing Title Tuesday, he probably would have won. He had the 1 second increment, but we've taken that away, and it is tough now. All of the best players adapt. They have to. But yeah, time is so important in Title Tuesday. In the meantime, it feels like Arjun has a very pleasant position, still with a nice bind on the center. The queen, though, was blocking black up on the queen side, and a trade offered, rejected. And yeah, long term, black isn't doing so badly. There are some squares. White's bishop isn't the best piece So, yeah, it feels like Muller is doing a great job of just staying in this game.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see if they kind of seize the opportunity when they're playing against really good players and they know that they have a lot of eyes on their game. I'm also thinking about this for Bynum, like the fact that you're playing against Magnus in the first round and you know the chess world is watching. It must be so awesome to have that moment kind of eternalized through being on this broadcast, and it's going to be in social media. It's going to be funny.
He's going to be dining out on just that video clip alone for the next 10 years for sure. Wow, yeah. Maybe we need to start making a course or a book about Magnus's brilliant checkmates or the checkmates against him. There have been a few now. You tend to need to do something special to beat Magnus, and apparently it's queen sacrifices or en passants.
Yeah.
That's his kryptonite. In the meantime, much better for Arjun Arigaisi, building up the pressure in the center.
I kind of like making a lot of trades now and sacrificing a pawn to ruining the pawn structure for the German. The problem is, after that pawn sacrifice, David is highlighting, you're trading off so many pieces and you're giving black control of the only open file. Ooh, so he does it in a better way.
Very, very clever. And this fork is going to win back the rook now with interest, leaving black with so many weaknesses. Doubled, isolated pawns everywhere. And it's very important that a rook hit on the white queen would have been met by a capture. And both queens would have been hanging. So now it's just positional.
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was looking for. The problem was I was getting it being down a pawn, but the way Arjun executed it, he's equal on material, and now he's eyeing that pawn in the center, and there's just no way for black to keep it defended.
Oh, that was beautiful technique. Transforming advantages is one of the most important things in chess. Everyone can build up a decent position from time to time, but to win it takes something special sometimes in its tactics. Now, with that little sequence has won him a pawn, and more to come. The black bishop is just really bad here.
There's also back rank checkmates looming.
Exactly. If the black bishop's ever kicked away, the king is helpless. The white knight is just glorious in the center now. It's going to win Arjun the game.
I was wondering if Arjun would it tire him out a little bit to play a classical game, then play this tournament and have to play again tomorrow, but maybe if he does very well today, it can be very uplifting to kind of bring some good experiences with himself into the next rounds and the final rounds of the Tata Steel tournament.
Yeah, conventional wisdom says that playing blitz during a classical tournament is a form breaker. If you're playing well, don't touch the blitz. Don't ruin your form. If you're playing badly, maybe it's good to just get the frustration out. And Arjun was 2 pawns up temporarily, back to 1 pawn. But yeah, that bishop again, so bad. And there will be another pawn up for grabs in the middle very shortly. Or a pin on that black bishop. How to win it, though. The black king is coming out.
That's how.
Breaking the connection between the black rook and bishop. Arjun does the job very professionally there.
Yeah, just such a perfect, smooth game from Arjun there. It's going to be interesting if he can keep that smoothness when he's facing more difficult opponents.
Okay, and we jump into Hikaru Nakamura down on the clock. We mentioned how important it was to keep a buffer there. Position-wise, he seems to be doing quite well, but it is very tactical. Long-term, Hikaru does have some weaknesses on the queen side, but he was attacking this bishop. If the bishop had moved, maybe some knight jumps. So chaos from Akash here.
And this is precisely the kind of chaos you want to be inviting when you have the time advantage against a stronger opponent.
Yeah, that's a great move. Pawn to f5, forcing Hikaru to think even more what to do. Does he have to move this knight out the way? Can he move this knight out the way? This will come with a fork if the knight is captured.
But if he takes the bishop, then that's going to open up in front of his own king. So that's very scary.
Oh, and he drops below a minute.
Hikaru needs something special here. He needs to speed up. He does move his knight out the way. There are some tricks, meaning that he doesn't lose a piece, but this one is still chaotic. Anything could happen. Back to balanced, apparently.
I guess you take the knight and then try and get the queen working on the diagonal.
Ooh, we'll see that play out.
Yeah, I'm too slow. I need to pick up my speed. I'm way too slow.
And he's aware of it. He knows that he is down a minute on the clock almost. Now he needs to speed up.
Both sides on the long diagonal have some potential. White with nice dark squared control here. But,
I'm kind of liking Hikaru now. I didn't say that in time.
There's some tactics on the diagonal.
The knight on the edge for black is just horrendously placed, and Hikaru did a really good job of blocking the diagonal where black was gaining the attacking chances.
The knight does stop any smothered mate ideas, but it's more about this diagonal, how to prevent checkmate on the vulnerable g7 square.
I don't see the knockout.
Big, I missed knight a4. I want to play h4. There's knight a4.
Ooh, he doesn't see the knockout either.
Knight a4 there. There were some tricks, but okay, he's just trying to sit on the position. Black's pieces are so stranded, so offside. Rook to d6 is a big threat now, hitting multiple pieces. Maybe just impossible to prevent that move. Oh, the knight does go back. He did find a way to cover that important square.
Now White's queen is free to move into the attack next move. That's why he protected the knight.
Slow playing the attack despite being a pawn down is very instructive. White has full control, and we'll see that queen enter surely soon.
Yeah, but 30 seconds, that's the thing when they don't have any increment. Even these kind of situations where the evaluation bar is saying that Hikaru is massively better, there's still a hope. As long as Akash here has a couple of seconds extra.
He's got to push his pawn now and try and open up in front of White's king.
Well, that's a very clever move. F4, opening up some diagonals. He doesn't find that one. 28 seconds for Akash. Hikaru slightly lower. He moves in now. He's trying to win some material on the spot. He will with the double attack. And the black queen also almost trapped. That looks like a clincher.
Yeah, look at his face now. Hikaru is finally just like chilling out. He's realized.
He's a rook up now, Hikaru. 21 seconds is more than enough. And he gets the win. But that wasn't as simple as he might have liked.
No, he had to struggle. It certainly wasn't as smooth as the Erigaisi game we just watched. But let's hop into the final seconds here for Alex Banzea, who's winning on time.
Oh, the shoe's on the other foot. He's going to flag his opponent. Despite being in a lost endgame, the rook more than a match for the 3 pawns here. Okay, but no time, and there we go. Karma.
And he gets his first point. And well done. But he's had some intense games, both going to the final seconds, and he doesn't get a single break because the second all the clocks have hit 0, they start a third round here. So we can see, I saw that Magnus, he did win his second game now and has 1 point, but still a lot of catching up to do. And it's going to be like that for the next 6, 7 rounds. Even if he wins all of them in a row, he'll still have to be struggling to catch up with the rest of the gang here.
And what I want to see now from the others is just viciousness. They need to just try and win every single game. I remember in the World Blitz Championship during Christmas, Magnus was way behind, but he caught up very easily because everyone was just making draws. So the thing is, people need to learn when Magnus is behind, you gotta just risk it and go for the biscuit.
Exactly. Artemiev as well in the World Rapid Championship. He was 1.5 points ahead of Magnus with 6 rounds to go, and he just drew the rest of his games. I mean, as you say, it's something. Why? I mean, here you might as well play for a win because your opponent might flag you if you play for a draw. So maybe in Title Tuesday, more likely they will. But there has been a trend towards a bit of safety recently.
Yeah. But also I feel like in Title Tuesday, with almost 400 participants, you very often need at least 9.5 points to win. And the fact that Magnus has already kind of sacrificed one of the few points you are allowed to, it's going to require a lot from him as well to win a lot of these next games. And let's see if Hikaru can seize the opportunity. He hasn't won a tournament in Title Tuesday in many, many weeks, none in Split 2, and he needs those points.
Yeah, and Hikaru playing quite provocatively in the opening, going for the modern defense, but it was quite a successful one with the 2 bishops being ketoed, especially pressure on this e4 pawn. The knight is potentially getting kicked away as well. I'm not too impressed by Barat's opening here. Feels like there are better ways to play against what Hikaru did in the first few moves. The white bishop's now moved for a second time. Maybe it was just a bit misplaced.
Do you think Hikaru judges who he plays these aggressive openings against, or do you think he'll just do it against anyone at these early stages?
Ooh, good question. I think he's happy against most players. If it's someone he maybe has history against or does fear a bit, he might stick to more conventional stuff. Later in the tournament, against Magnus, he tends to play his A-list openings.
Do you think he's more or less likely to play something like here, this modern with the two bishops, against one of the young kids or against one of the more established players?
Oh, good question. Because Magnus would be inclined to play this type of thing against the younger ones, right? But Hikaru, he has been doing this for many years. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just trying to read Hikaru's expression.
We've been trying to do that for years. I've given up on it.
Because he's playing against an 18-year-old grandmaster from India here, and I feel like me in particular, I always associate these very young Indian players as like very underrated. That might be from like more like classical tournament play, but I feel like that's the kind of opponent that these older guys, they don't want to play against these young Indian kids. And it seems like Hikaru's taking it very seriously. He's playing fast and he's playing well from what I can see and from what the evaluation bar says.
Yeah, but the trend is in White's favor, I would say now, because Hikaru, he pushed his pawn up in the center, which has blocked one of his fianchettoed bishops. And now White is trying to get a trade of the other bishop on the opposite flank by going kind of maneuvering into the center and making that trade. So Hikaru now kind of goes very aggressive.
Mm-hmm. It feels a bit all in, but maybe it's just positionally justified. It does resemble some branches of the Sicilian, this pawn structure. And I think probably a good practical idea from Barrett not to open up the center, although there might have been some action against the Black King just that one moment. I think this move will have frustrated Hikaru.
Yeah, because now Hikaru has to make a decision. Does he continue forward, which is kind of what he intended with the previous move and is what he ends up doing. But the problem now is that he's got all those three pawns on the dark squares. And if the bishop then tries to reroute, these pawns are going to be in the way. So there's this classic Sveshnikov plan of getting the bishop over on the queen side, pointed at White's king. I think that's going to be Hikaru's priority now.
Yeah, that's a quite long-term plan.
Wow.
But it looks like a very effective one, and that might come with some mating ideas, especially if the White king is caught in the corner. He will prepare it, though. The one thing to avoid will be allowing any white pawn breaks. Maybe the worst piece on the board is now the white bishop. Also blocked in by lots of pawns, the knight.
Well, now the knight is not good. I don't know why you would voluntarily move the knight to a place where the only available square is where it came from.
Yeah. But I also feel like the advantage that Hikaru has right now is that he has this kind of long-term plan that you were showing with his arrows, David, and then he can play a lot of moves quite quickly. I feel like having a plan when there isn't any increment is such a huge advantage. And he's going for a completely other plan on the other side of the board right now.
He's at least hinting that it might happen. He might not know whether it's good or not. He is calculating, though.
Let's see what he says.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that. Very happy, actually. The only thing is, how do I do this? I don't want to go rook c5. I don't want to go a4.
Okay, so Hikaru, he is calculating, but he did give the opportunity to give away his bishop, but it's remained on the board. It's now on that amazing diagonal. It really came in from the weird...
Yeah, no, such an unexpected way. I kind of hit the plan that was available to him, but he just executed it in a much better way than what I was saying, because he managed to provoke the white pawn in front of the white king to push one step forward, and now that pawn can be attacked. Hikaru is preparing it now with his bishop one step back, taking over the rook's the square the rook just vacated. And yeah, there's a devastating attack going on against the white king.
Yeah, it's coming. The white knight improves itself. Hikaru, if he can just line up the bishop, maybe add a rook to the attack as well. Oh, he just wants a pawn. Why not? And still positionally in control, now materially up as well.
And Hikaru, he seems to be in good shape today from what we've seen so far. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep his 1-point lead over his nemesis Magnus, who started off in a bad way.
If maybe a bit slow. Because it's not normal to see Hikaru behind on the clock, right? And now, I mean, he has the time advantage here, but it's just barely, despite the fact that his position is quite superior, which also often is a sign that you can play faster.
Yeah. And Hikaru at his best is always up on time, always kind of asking questions, always very dynamic. And okay, here he's the exchange up. Barrett decided that black bishop was too strong. I think he was right in at least trying this. But how can Hikaru double down?
Maybe Hikaru can start sacrificing already.
Or he can try to go into an endgame.
With an extra rook, which does seem like a very sound decision. Now that I'm made aware of that rook's existence.
And Hikaru, he will be playing in the Speed Chess Championship semifinals and maybe finals coming up in a couple of weeks. So he's always a contender there because of his quick moves, and it's a good way to warm up a little bit towards that. And now there is a queen trade. We're seeing an endgame, but Hikaru threatening a pawn, has a rook in exchange for a knight. Everything's looking promising right now.
Very promising. He has fantastic technique, of course, as well, Hikaru. Probably the Speed Chess Championship is going to be the easiest way towards the Esports World Cup for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been a bit up and down on Title Tuesdays, just a couple of wins here and there in the autumn split. Still some hard work to be done here, though. Maybe he could have gone for checkmate. And
yeah, look at his face right now.
He really wants the rooks off. Not so easy, though. With the rooks off, it's a guaranteed win. Like, no real chance for Barrett to fight back, especially with no time on the clock. But while the white rook is alive, this is the clincher maybe. If the rook trade is avoided here, the black rooks come in.
Great play by Hikaru to force either the rook trade or the rooks coordinating together against the white king.
Yeah, and that white king does look quite hopeless. There's going to be back rank checkmate ideas. I just have to keep the black king safe. There was a discovery threatened against the black king. Now Hikaru will give a few checks, nudge the king away, and run. Checkmate is coming on one of these two squares. He can dodge the checks easily. Hikaru is up on time, and there we see it. He takes the win. 3 out of 3.
Alongside Fabiano Caruana, who's also headed for the candidates in not too many months. And here we jump into the end of Magnus's game. He's playing against somebody with 1.5 points, while he has himself only 1 point, and that's because Magnus, he is probably the best player to have 1 point, and it looks like he's winning here. He has enough time to win this endgame.
He has enough time, but just the fact that Magnus is down on time at this stage of the game, I find fascinating. I feel that's a sign that Naroditsky has really put up a good fight here.
Yeah. I've never heard of Magnus's opponent, but that was a very tight game at the end. But ultimately, he did get the win, Magnus, on the comeback trail. And Artemiev should be getting the job done here. About to win a rook. Makes a new queen. Oh, dropped his bishop, though. Is he going to have enough time? Here's a winning endgame. At the right moment, he'll try and sacrifice his rook for the white pawn and bishop. What do we think? 5 seconds, just not enough for white here, surely. Easier to play with the rook.
Well, it's not that he's winning on the board, right? Because it's not that easy. But the thing is, on the clock, he should be able to.
He's going to win the pawn, and there we see a blunder there from Korchinski and Artemiev. It was the clock that decided things in his favor.
Wow, and there's only probably seconds left of the final game we see going on right now, Dmitry Kolars, and it's going to be interesting to see if any of the top guys are going to start facing off against each other right now.
More shocks. Wesley So losing with white. Arjun Erigaisi further down losing as well.
Wow.
Some of the favorites falling.
Just as we were talking about, Ludwig, that, or you were mentioning from the World Championship, the Blitz World Championship, that not necessarily that people were losing, but the fact that Magnus is falling behind the field, and people are kind of enabling him to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, but I do think it's a big difference between people just losing, which, it happens. Chess is a tough game, and on purpose going for very safe openings, making draws within the first 20 moves. I feel like losing is more acceptable to everyone but the person themselves.
Yeah.
And the risk of losing is why they're making the draws to begin with.
At least you can say you tried, you pressed, you tried to take advantage of Magnus's early slip. But yeah, it's going to be good news for Magnus, who's not going to repeat the position in this Sicilian Najdorf. It's going to be good news that some of his rivals are feeling the heat. And this is one of the main lines of the Sicilian. Magnus Castle's queenside. He's maybe more willing to play these types of positions in blitz games than in classical chess. He rarely embarks on such double-edged play in longer games these days. But what do we think of this opening choice? Nice
I've played this with white.
Okay.
And I feel like I always mess it up. So now I'm just mostly eagerly anticipating, what are you supposed to do with white when black really postpones castling for a really long time like this? I have not figured out what to do before. So I would like Magnus to show me.
Is this saved up prep from the 2013 World Championship match?
Certainly not. I've spent a lot of time looking at these lines as well, and I also do not understand what white is supposed to do.
When Magnus plays a3, that's the kind of move I would make in this position because I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Well, he might have more intention behind the move than what you normally do.
And then we go around.
Okay, so if Magnus is slightly sick and doesn't have a plan and is now playing a3 and
he does have a
retreating.
plan. Look at, sure, you can do the arrows that way, David, but do them via a2 just to kind of make Maud understand that there is some way you can use the a3 move.
And maybe now it's important because you don't want to go to d3 and allow the black knight in.
Oh, wow. Okay. I take back my criticism of the world's best chess player and I consider myself educated.
But it's a very good illustration of, you could have played that move as well. You could have played a3 as well, but you wouldn't have played it with the same kind of strategic intention that Magnus had. And that's true.
But you would have no way of knowing.
No, but it's true for basically every move, right? Yeah. Every single chess player can play every single one of Magnus's moves, but it's how the moves are put into context and working together with one another and being part of a larger plan that is the major difference between, you and Magnus.
Thank you for reminding me. But it is actually fun that I now know this plan. I think I'll remember it. I'm always wondering, do you guys feel like you become a better chess player from sitting in a studio and watching a lot of chess at the highest level? Because it hasn't affected me that much, my rating so far. So I'm kind of waiting for that. Is it positive for you guys?
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't play so much over the board, but Jon Ludvig, winning Norwegian Championship while commentating, surely it helps.
I can quite definitively say that it doesn't help, and part of the reason is that I become a bit kind of accustomed to watching the computer's evaluation, and so I think it doesn't necessarily help you from a calculating standpoint, which, is a very, very big part of the game. But I do think that being exposed to chess in general, commentary included, can give you some insights. And for me personally, I've never seen this plan before. And the way Magnus is executing it, I think is very, very nice. And I will definitely keep that in mind for the future. And then I'll lose games because I'm miscalculating, not because I'm unaware of, tricky, cool plans.
But look at Magnus now. Is he frustrated or something?
I should probably win, but... Oh my God, why did I allow that?
Magnus is unhappy because he wanted to move his knight into the center, and now tactically he can't do that in such a good way.
He's regretting not having taken this knight on the previous move and then jumped in, because now taking this knight, which he does, invites some complications. And this is what he was cursing himself about. He's going to end up with an extra rook for bishop, exchange up, but his bishop in the corner, looking a bit offside for now. I don't know if black can take advantage of that somehow.
You just got to go for it immediately, I feel. Just push the pawn to f6 and get the king included to go after the bishop. And then the problem is when Magnus tries to force the bishop back, you're actually going to have to... Ooh, that feels better than what I was saying.
Ooh. Valuation bar doesn't approve. Is it because the white queen can maybe come in some circumstances? I don't see it, though. F4. Magnus not finding the best move, apparently, but...
Well, but this one seems pretty good, right? He just needs to open up around that white bishop in the corner to get it out alive.
Ooh, black setting a cunning trap. He wants to threaten bishop to a2 check, getting the bishop out of the way and winning the white queen.
There's a lot of tactical stuff going on here. And look at Magnus's, like...
Why do I just take a positionally winning position and turn it into...
He's still upset about that bishop takes knight thing.
Yeah, right idea, wrong order. That's all he can think. But he is winning if he can knuckle down and calculate a little bit here.
But it was a great play from Kokarin, who managed to kind of force the white queen away from the diagonal of the white bishop in the corner, which is creating more problems for Magnus to deal with.
Yeah. And Magnus's trick here is that the black king can't go for the white bishop yet, because the white bishop will take a pawn, save itself, and the black bishop will be hanging in the center. So if you can't go for it yet, maybe it does survive a bit longer. What else can black try? Are there any more tricks?
Pawn to f6 maybe, try and reinforce in the center. But the problem then is,
Makes sense. But you're fearing some kind of...
Well, I was, but then I noticed the bishop. At least black has a bishop protecting that f1 square, so it's not so easy for Magnus to get his rook pointed down on the white king. He might still have to do it, though. And keep in mind that Magnus has a rook and a pawn in trade for the bishop, so giving back a rook for a bishop in itself is not necessarily that big of a deal.
And look at his expression, though. He still seems so annoyed with himself.
Wow.
Oh, that is drastic. Giving back the material advantage.
Try and simplify the thinking.
He says simplify, but to me, like, he's giving up the rook as well.
Wow.
And computer says he's a genius.
Wow.
I'm just going to simplify.
The material count is 4 pawns for the bishop, and white has an ongoing attack, mainly because the black king is
He's
just
smiling.
there right now.
He's smiling.
Yeah, but isn't it a problem that if the black bishop was on further back, then it would be okay. But Magnus also has some tricks because he's about to force the black rook away from the protection of the black bishop.
Yeah, very clever move, though, to use the king as a blockader of the pawn. Magnus just needs to add his rook into the attack. There we go. Threatening a check.
And he needs to be aware of the time situation. Both Kocharin now down to less than a minute. Magnus has a couple more seconds, but it's not a lot.
And look at the black queen. The black queen is just completely unable to contribute defensively.
Worst queen ever. And checkmate, or some checks are threatened. Looks like something should be falling here. Magnus can go in with some checks immediately. He can also just go in. Well, there might be some back rank mates, so you still got to calculate a little bit.
And they're still playing kind of slow for the fact that they have less than a minute left right now. And look, Magnus, what is this expression?
So sluggish.
Oh, gosh. He's not happy with himself in this game, even though we were admiring the way he did this plan earlier. And he's just upset with one move that he messed up the order of. And then the game was a complete chaos.
And that's what we talked about just at the beginning of the tournament, of the show, that it's all about the ability to bounce back from disappointment. And here I feel like, Magnus is disappointed and frustrated about that one mistake, the move he made. But I think he wouldn't be this upset about it if not for the fact that he got checkmated in round 1 as well.
Exactly. He feels like he's missing these short tactics, like these one movers, these two movers. He is going to win this game, though. He's several pawns up, and the black king is so open. And that could be the clincher, getting the rooks off the board, maybe even winning the rook now. If the black queen tries to defend, there will be some checks. And frustration for Magnus, but he's getting the job done. Double attack. 10 seconds. Kocharin's playing on. But there we go, Magnus looks confident. He's going to move on to 3 out of 4 in the first break. Maybe enough to stay in the race.
I want to trade.
Oh, and we jump into Hikaru's game here. Seconds left, but his opponent, International Master Makarin, he is winning.
He is winning. Black's pawn is going to cost the white rook its life, but the clock, 6 seconds each now. It's going to be a flagging battle. Hikaru surely isn't winning this game. The white pawns can be captured. There we go. They're all gone. He's just playing for a draw, and Hikaru resigns. Makarian too quick.
Very impressive pace there from Makarian in those decisive phases. It is easier to play quickly when you have a better position or a winning one, but he really made sure that he kept the pace. He knew that in order to beat Hikaru in these time scrambles, you just got to make the pre-moves, and he got away with it, and a huge win there for him.
Wow, and we can now see that there are 16 players who have a perfect score, 4 out of 4, and there's no Hikaru, there's no Magnus. We're going to sum up the action when we're back in just a few moments.
Here we go.
Wow, and we're missing so many of the favorites from the top spots right now. I mean, who are you most impressed to see here, Jonadik?
I think for me, in this entire winter split, it's Sam Sevian. The stability he has shown, he's always up there in the top 10 or thereabouts. And once again, on 4 out of 4 points, where many of the other favorites have faltered, I think he has been very, very impressive. And it shows in the standings, right? That he's one of few players who's gotten a lot of points consistently throughout the winter split.
It's especially impressive because Sevian, I think, blundered a piece in one move in the opening of his previous game. But still fought back against Etienne Bacro to win. So, consistency is key. Duda, I didn't see on this list, but Duda's been great in this split as well, as has Vincent Keimer, who's not been playing this last couple of weeks due to Vaikanze. Nice to see Fabi up there, though. Ahead of the candidates, he's clearly trying to get some practice in.
And he also needs points because as we've been mentioning so many times, this Title Tuesday is one of the ways to qualify for the Esports World Cup. And Fabiano, he has already signed with an esports team. He's participated before, but he would love to win. It's one of the most, it has one of the tournaments with the biggest money prizes. And so it's a really tight competition to participate in that. But let's take a look at one of the most crazy moments of the day. I mean, we were sitting here, we had leaned back in our chairs, the world's best chess player, massively better. And out of nowhere.
Wow.
I'm going to study Bynum's reaction. He must have seen this coming. He must have here understood he was threatening checkmate because he played it so quickly. And wow, what a queen sacrifice.
Oh boy. Good game. You gotta be vigilant, at least more than this. Okay, should I let him checkmate? I'll let him checkmate me, why not?
Oh, wow, and Bynum even containing his smile, but you could see that he kind of was nervously leaning forward. He couldn't believe what he was seeing.
Yeah, no, I mean, what a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cunning, setting it all up. I think he'd spotted it 4 or 5 moves before he started playing, Rook B7, Queen E2, all these things. And you could see he sensed that Magnus hadn't spotted it, and neither had we. That was hidden. That was difficult.
And I think back on my own moments where I'm like, I'm threatening something, and I'm like, it's a cheap trick, but I'll try, and then it works. Is there a better feeling?
I mean, I think so. I like to win by, strategically outplaying my opponents. But when it comes to playing against Magnus, if you win, you don't really care how you did it. Just the fact that you managed. And to win in such a fashion is incredible.
Yeah.
All right. And so we have 16 players with a perfect score. So few of the favorites are there. And it's going to be very exciting. David, can I ask you to look at how it's going with our friend Alex in the other streaming room, while we in the meantime see that Magnus and Hikaru during their breaks, they're sitting at their screens. They're not stretching their legs. They're not going to the bathroom. It's very intense 2 hours, Jonadik.
Yeah, no, it's nice having these 2 breaks after round 4 and round 8, just to kind of have the opportunity to stretch your legs. But these guys, they're so accustomed to it, and they have the stamina the mental stamina to just sit through the whole tournaments and the ups and downs. Not to forget, both players have lost one of their first 4 games, which is quite sensational, given that it's Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen.
And how's Alex doing?
He's doing very well. He's on a 3-game streak. He could play Magnus next. He could play Hikaru next. Alex has just beaten 2 2800 players in a row. So it looks like he's doing very well.
And he said in his in the interview we had with him that it was 7.5 points. That was his personal best, and that was last week. So maybe he's on the way to do well. And he looks very happy and he looks smiling. I'm always eager to hear from the players themselves. Like, is it better or worse to be sitting kind of in a studio and playing? What is your experience when you've been sitting in the Dave Cave, David?
I can't handle multitasking in general, like especially with streaming, talking, and playing good chess. But some players are more experienced than others. Hikaru handles it extremely well. I think a lot of players, even Magnus, enjoy just getting the tension out by talking themselves through positions. And Alex, I've watched many of his videos. He's a great opening expert, great positional player, and it seems like he's doing quite well today, having kind of had that jolt in round 1 of losing on time.
Other names that I also noticed that are on a perfect score, we have Alexander Bortnik, who has won the title Tuesday before. We've got Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. There are a lot of these guys who can really use this opportunity when a lot of the favorites, Magnus and Hikaru, they're not here. This could really be a chance for them to climb on the split 2 standings. So let's hope that they keep up the pressure. I feel like this break is usually when the players have the first time to kind of take a little breather, check the standings and see, oh, Magnus lost in the first round.
Yeah, I don't know if you should be checking the standings while playing. The title Tuesday is intense enough if you're also going to get distracted by other things. That being said, maybe like the very top players should have some awareness of where they are, but more so towards the end of the tournament.
Yeah, especially after the second break, you kind of need to know what results you need. You need to kind of have the motivation to fight as hard as you can, knowing that you might be in the lead, for example. We see just on this side even, that Hikaru, Magnus, Wesley So and others, they're creeping up the standings. But
Mats Vestby Ellingsen, I recognize him. He's one of the top Norwegian players playing against Wesley So. I just had to give a little shout out to Mats. But let's watch Alexander Bortnik, a person who's done very well in Title Tuesday many times, has complained about this software, this anti-cheating software, Proctor, that they have to download that records their screens and makes sure that nobody is cheating. But he posted a video on his Twitter account the other day that it was causing his game to lag. And he was very upset about it. But despite that, he signs up every week and he's giving it his best. He's very determined to make it to the Esports World Cup.
Yeah, he's a fantastic speed player. He was also disappointed with his performance at the World Rapid and Blitz in Qatar recently. He felt like he could have given more, could have performed better. Here, I like White's chances. This pawn structure with a black D pawn being a bit backward tends to be a bit weak later, but this tends to be a good version for White with the bishop nicely entrenched on a square, maybe knights coming into the center.
I really like the fact that he's held back his C pawn, because now he has the potential of playing his pawn one step forward, which really is a detriment to the black bishop on the long diagonal. So I feel like that's always one of the main strategic plans in positions like this.
Yeah, and apparently a rook lift is a strategic plan that, I mean, I've never seen before in these positions, but
not so much strategic as it as it relates to Bortnik and his willingness to just go very gung-ho and just everything into the attack.
Exactly. Maybe later the rook will swing the whole way and we'll see some explosive sacrifices around the black king, but for now he's taking a timeout.
I think he's doing it. And frankly, I don't see what black can do against it. I genuinely think he's about to sacrifice on that. I think he might even do it right now.
And look, his opponent, the Greek Grandmaster, he is reacting to this. And was Bortnik's previous move, was that to try to take that G4 square from one of the knights, perhaps? So it really looks like his moves on both sides of the board is all about this rook lift over to the other side. And look how hopeless his opponent looks. He doesn't know how to respond to this.
Will we see it? Will we see the white rook swing the whole way across the board? It must be tempting. Bortnik, I will mention, in just the last few weeks, last few months, he has been a bit slower. He tends to give himself a bit of a handicap. He tends to be at around 30 seconds, 1 minute, when his opponents are far higher on the clock. But his play is inspired when low on time. So he does need to decide whether to just drop back somewhere with his rook or swing it the whole way.
Whoa, what?
Third option, leave the rook hanging. His knights are being hit in the center. That knight is trapped. Wow.
Maybe that was why Korkulos was reacting to. He realized, oh, by putting my bishop there, I don't have a place to retreat the knight.
Oh, but Bortnik could have... the Greek guy, he could have retreated the knight first.
Korkulos
Very
Adidas.
tricky.
Okay, tactics in the air. Knight to h7 was a better move just a couple of moves before it was played. And material count, Bortnik is the exchange down, but he's got a hit on the black queen, and the bishop is sometimes hanging. Yeah, so this is very, very tactical now. Better for black again, after maybe some misplayed moves from both sides. White's pieces are also a bit loose, especially this bishop. And if it drops back, black has time to trade off the queens with a check and then save his piece.
And it actually says that it is better now for the Greek Grandmaster, and it's increasing the advantage. But surely this is a position where suddenly the bar will swing in different directions because there are so many pieces that can kind of suddenly be taken.
Exactly. There's all sorts of hanging pieces. I'm not sure how to get at them. At some point you want to play the move pawn to f5, but more likely he's going to drop his bishop back somewhere. Save that one.
I really like that first move you were suggesting, that the bishop may try to trade itself. Because one thing is retreating the bishop, but retreating the bishop in such a way that you're still making threats against white's position. And you're kind of giving away a pawn on the side to open up for the black rook along the A file. That was very sneaky.
Yeah, and okay, a mysterious rook move. That takes a lot of self-control to just leave a piece hanging on the side of the board, but the white knight was needed to defend its fellow piece here, so it didn't have time to go and grab the bishop. Another pawn was grabbed by Bortnik, so now he's the exchange down. Still rook for knight, but he has one pawn. Quite a strong pawn, potentially long-term.
With a queen trade here, I'm not even sure Bortnik is worse because of that strong pawn.
For example, if the bishop drops back somewhere, saves itself. Yeah, the queen exchange in the center. Yeah, maybe there's some tactics still, but anything could happen there. Bortnik needs to speed up, though.
Yeah, they're both playing very slowly because there's so much stuff to calculate. They're being
that's just not good. You can... Oh, never mind. The bishop is hanging in the end.
Is it maybe this move? Oof.
This is very confusing.
Yeah, no, I was thinking rook takes bishop and then you get a check and you take the knight, but I forgot my own bishop is under attack as well. It's just everything is...
Wow, look at this player that I can't say I recognize his name, and he's won against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and has a perfect 5 out of 5. Kravtsev.
I'm showing my age. I know this player very well.
Me too.
Who is this?
Well, I think he's part of our generation, right, David?
Yeah, I think maybe 1 year either way of us. Very strong Ukrainian grandmaster, very consistent, but yeah, maybe not renowned at the very top level, hasn't had those big tournament invites. The one time I managed to win Title Tuesday, I played him in the penultimate round.
Ooh.
I remember that, and he blundered his queen in one move, so that helped. But no, he's very strong. Taking down MVL proves it. Big moment, though. Just while we were talking about other games, other results, Korkulos Adidas hasn't moved. Over a minute of thought now, and eventually he pushes his pawn. There's so much overwork of the white pieces now. The knight is hit, which has to defend this bishop. Can he get away with taking this bishop? I think that tactic you mentioned, Jon Ludvig, is going to be in the air a bit later with a capture and some checks. He saves his knight, but
what about the bishop?
Yeah, but there's the black bishop as well, but...
Okay.
Maybe he could have sold it.
Yeah.
Oh, there was some tactics there as well. Still the exchange up. Does he grab a pawn?
How good are they at adapting to realizing that they had better moves in different moments?
Yeah, at this point, they probably don't care. They're just like, quick, just need to move. But the extra exchange combined with dark squared threats against the white king does look like it should be a win for black here. The rook is trapped, though.
It's really been a day of upsets then, because Maxime losing now, Magnus has lost, Hikaru's lost, Bortnik might lose now. I mean, who is going to have... Are we going to recognize any of the names at 5 out of 5?
Well, I was already struggling at 4 out of 4. Like there were 2-3 names I hadn't heard of at any point.
I agree. They tend to be younger players who are just making their way through the ranks right now. In the meantime, still a winning advantage for black, despite being a pawn down after that pseudo-sacrifice, giving back some material. The knight is coming. The bishop is coming. Just everything attacking for black. Big threat of a knight check and then a checkmate. No surviving this.
It's good you pointed out because we've seen it happen so many times. But Bortnik does cover it up.
Ooh, where's the killer blow? The white king is running.
I don't see it.
You don't see it either. Feels like it must be there, though.
Practice your tactics.
Does the rook slide across? I would be boring and try to win some material.
But then the pawn starts running.
Oh, and yeah, that would be panic stations.
Threatening checkmate.
Okay, smothered mate threatened. But now other mates threatened. The bishop coming in, the queen giving a deadly check. Okay.
For now, Bortnik seems to be surviving.
Fighting hard.
And look how much time he's spending. He's spending so much time. He's only going to have 20 seconds left.
Bortnik might make it here. Black can go for a repetition back and forth with the queen.
What would you do here? 19 seconds. Is it a practical move? Oh, wow. He gives up his rook. He's trying to break the pawn, shelter in front of the white king. There will be some checkmating ideas with the queen and bishop teaming up.
Bishop f3 maybe to try and make sure the king can get away.
Nice. There was a threat of a rook check as well. The white king would then run.
Now you take the bishop.
It's getting chaotic, but a check.
Oh, that decides it.
Oh, surely now. The Greek Grandmaster's winning. Queen up.
Two queens up.
Two queens up. Checkmate here, even with 1 second. Should be enough. There we go. Wow. Flurry of tactics there. Bortnik did not survive.
That's the kind of game you get like mentally exhausted. You almost get like a headache from sitting there trying to calculate everything. And now you only have seconds until the next game. And we see that Hikaru, he's still playing. So he's probably in some time trouble. But looks like he is winning that game right now.
Oh, Hikaru gave mate with 4 seconds left on the clock against Polina Shuvalova. Very strong player.
And Caruana, he also has a perfect 5 out of 5. Sam Sevian, your favorite. Am I allowed to call him that, Jon Ludvig?
Well, I just think his consistency has been remarkable because we know that in these Title Tuesday tournaments, having the consistency of having top 10 finishes all the time is very, very rare. It's usually reserved for Magnus and Hikaru. And now, I don't know if you noticed, but Magnus made a draw.
What?
Yeah.
So Magnus is struggling here. He needs to win the rest of his games to even have a shot at this week's title.
Very surprising. Magnus drawing against Brazilian Grandmaster Alexander Fia. And yeah, he really needs to win the rest of his games now. If 9.5 is the magic number, Magnus's tiebreaks probably aren't great. He needs to win the rest to have any chance of succeeding in the tournament. And in the meantime, round 6 underway, and yeah, I don't recognize the player against Fabiano, I must admit.
and to be honest, that was the case in the previous round as well. Bobby now is getting these probably underrated kids.
Do you think that Caruana's sitting there like, wait, where's Magnus? Where's Hikaru? When am I going to face them? Oh, never. If I keep winning.
The best chance he's ever had, Fabiano, of getting all those points in the tour and winning this week's Title Tuesday. We join Magnus because he's pretty much in must-win territory for the rest of the tournament now. He's playing Lorenzo Lodici, an Italian grandmaster who had a big breakthrough at the World Cup recently. That's not Lodici. We'll get him up in a second. Lodici there beat Hans Niemann, beat Michael Adams, and was only stopped by Sam Sevian. Not going to be easy for Magnus here. And we see a Spanish opening of Roy Lopez that I'm pretty confident that this featured in your preparation in the 2013 World Championship match, this type of position.
I'm sure it did, but let's just say that there were certain things I was responsible for, and the slow maneuvering Spanish positions was not part of my responsibilities. We left that to the Fresses and the Michael Adams of the world.
You lucked out. These positions, they all look the same.
I just did all the Berlins.
Okay.
That sounds really fun.
I enjoyed it, but you have to have a certain personality to enjoy these things.
And in the meantime, Magnus might be enjoying this position. There was a hit on the black bishop indirectly. That gave Magnus the time to shatter black's pawn structure. The computer says it's still level, but in practical terms, with doubled f-pawns like this, weaknesses around the black king, it's not going to be possible to relax ever.
I really like Magnus's potential of sacrificing a pawn in the center in order to open up for his bishop to point against the black king. I think this could be a very nice plan.
Do you think Magnus is happy with how this opening has progressed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bit slower than usual, though, and he goes the other way with his knight instead.
Oh.
The reason I thought maybe he wanted to sacrifice was because now, after the trade with the bishop versus the knight, the white bishop will never really be able to point against the black king. But, I mean, it's certainly an attack against black that Magnus is focusing on.
Okay.
Truth be told, I'm still terrible at drawing arrows, as you guys can see.
All right, so Magnus, he's actually spending most of his time right now trying to inform viewers of what he is up to. But let's hope he still has his focus on the game, because according to the evaluation, this is very even still. And I feel like if the two pawns on the left side of the board get traded off, is it realistic that Magnus wins?
I think so. As long as the queens remain on the board, it's very possible to win, even if all the pawns are on the same side, because of the weakness around black's king and the queen's ability to exploit those weaknesses. So if I'm Lodici, I would say maybe don't trade queenside pawns, because the black pawn is a bit more aggressively placed inside white's half.
Yeah, and he's playing really well here, Lodici. It looks like a classical game of chess here. Just really kind of principled moves. He's getting his queen in now. Watch out, that pawn that we just mentioned, threatening to advance due to a bit of a skewer. All those pieces kebabbed here on the second rank. Magnus, it feels like he's got no attack going and just having to move his pieces a bit back and forth here.
I agree. This looks like the most normal classical game that we've seen all day, and also breaking news from the classical world of chess is that world champion Gukesh, he has lost against Matthias Bluebaum. So that's always news when the world champion loses a game. Must be a lot of pressure to be facing, but could be also very interesting considering that Bluebaum is one of the candidates who might face Gukesh in a world championship match. So yeah. Exciting.
Big result for Bluebaum. And I was actually asking Hikaru at the end of his his qualifier to the candidates when he was playing these tournaments to get enough games for his rating qualifications. I specifically asked him if he would prepare for the candidates tournament differently, considering that players like Bluebaum, Yesipenko, and such are much lower rated than what kind of the candidates is traditionally contains, because I think the unexpected mix of the candidates field can become very, very intriguing, as opposed considering that the score needed to win might be larger than what we've seen in the past, because some players are, according to the ratings at least, quite considerably worse than the favorites in Hikaru and Fabi.
It's going to be very exciting. And it was so interesting that Bluebaum said that he didn't have a second or a coach helping him during the FIDE World Cup, which he did so well in. So, but here in the Magnus game, there's been quite the development.
Yeah, he's in a bit of trouble. Maud, you mentioned getting rid of those queenside pawns. Magnus would love that right now because somehow the black pawn has leveled up. It's one square away from promotion. For now, it's guarded. White's rook and bishop holding the door there. Maybe he's going to go around with his knight and try to win that pawn, but he still has to be careful. Only black can really be fighting for an advantage, you would think, although the clocks are getting a bit lower now. Yeah, it's gone wrong for Magnus. He's scrambling here for a draw. Maybe he'll get it, though.
He doesn't look very inspired when we look at his face.
Queen D. So this takes rook a2, rook g3.
And I also feel like that's not an inspired Magnus when he's just calculating out loud and sighing loudly. That's his mood right now.
I don't fully understand what he's thinking about, though, because he needs to move the queen, and he needs to move the queen to protect the bishop.
Yeah, he was talking about rook takes pawn in that position with a counterattack, but he was scared of a trade of queens, the rook giving itself up, and at the very end of the variation, black would have emerged with an extra pawn.
But Lodici could have gone back with his rook to protect that pawn, and now he's just given it away.
Yeah, maybe Lodici wants the win. Smelling blood, clock times.
But he's the one with a weaker king position, no?
True. Maybe he believes his knight in the center, strong enough to fend off any threats. Brave decision either way. I think repeating once at least would have been a pragmatic decision, and now he decides he wants the queens off.
I don't know. Endgames in a time scramble with Magnus, I would be slightly concerned about.
But look, Magnus has less time. It's 20 seconds. How much is that worth?
Oof. 1 minute is worth a pawn, they say. 20 seconds, therefore, worth a third of a pawn?
Yeah, maybe. A third of a pawn's not going to help much here, but obviously Lodici's pawns are way worse than Magnus's.
Everything's protected, though, for now. Should be a draw with best play. But surely both sides have half an eye on the clock and want to flag each other.
Yeah, and Magnus, he can't have another draw if he's planning on winning this title Tuesday. He has 3.5 points right now. He has to win.
Yeah, and there we see he breaks the pawn structure. He's created a pass pawn of his own. It's come at the cost of some weaknesses. Watch out. Black's rook is going pawn hunting. Magnus taking some small risks. But now it becomes about calculation. Is the pawn quick enough?
I don't know. This looks scary for Lodici to me. And also, the time difference is becoming smaller and smaller. I would feel more comfortable about a 20-second time advantage if Magnus was down to 20 seconds himself. But they've almost equalized, and we're still having 50 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and checkmate threats, nets in the air here. If Black isn't careful, the White Knight still can't make its way around to deliver a check. Black Knight is coming back maybe to defend.
Yeah, but he can't go back because then Magnus has this opportunity to flag winning a pawn.
And look at Lodici. Look how forward-leaning he is. He's very concentrated. He knows that he's not far away from managing something in this game, either a draw, and there's very few seconds left.
Lodici needs to take the central pawn. If he takes the knight now, I think he's getting flagged.
Oh, yeah, this is a horrible position to defend, even without the clock situation.
Very, very bad decision from Lodici, and he hasn't really appreciated the importance of time in the context of these Title Tuesdays. This is a position Magnus can play on for 100 moves. And even have legitimate chances to win because he does have an extra pawn now.
Magnus has never been the quickest on the mouse. Is he going to be quick enough? Oh, creating some threats. Lodici already on the brink. He blunders his pawn.
Oh, wow. A gift.
Well, it was already a difficult position to defend, I think.
His
real mistake was taking Magnus's knights. He needed to create some imbalance
so this in order
to get the position clarified within 50 moves.
Yeah.
Magnus didn't seem very happy with himself either. It seemed like that was a bit of a... He seems a little bit less motivated right now that he doesn't have as many points. He's not in the lead like the likes of Caruana and others, but much fewer players now with a perfect score. And I really just imagine Fabiano showing up to each game being like, when am I going to start facing my rivals?
MVL loses again, so he's out of the running for first place. Sarana trying to make a comeback. Hikaru gets a win as well.
Denis Lazovic losing to Andrew Tang. Looks like the one remaining game, Dubov's about to deliver checkmate with 0 point something seconds on his clock. He does get the win to get to 5.5, just behind the leading pack. And wow, no breaks. Round 7. And Caruana against the famous Kravtsev.
He's going to be famous after this. If he wins against Fabiano in this game, then I'll write down his name and remember him. Because right now, these are 2 out of the 3 players with a perfect score in a day that has all of the favorites messing up.
And Fabiano playing this variation that he employed at the World Rapid and Blitz Championship many times, including against Magnus. I don't really understand it, why you would put a pawn in front of your bishop, just block it in. It feels like you're trying to play a black opening, just with the white pieces. And already slightly better, according to the evaluation bar for black. White is just going to try and fianchetto, get developed. Not the most ambitious opening in the world from Fabiano.
Kravtsev's previous personal best in titled Tuesday history is 8.5 points. Mm-hmm. So he's on track to beat that today.
Yeah, we just need 2.5 points from the remaining rounds. And okay, players transposing back into known territory. The Gleck system of the 4 knights variation. But yeah, I don't know. Fabiano keeps playing this opening, and I've still yet to understand the point fully behind it. Maybe he just wants to survive the opening, get a position, and a pawn structure that's very flexible.
But already it seems like the Ukrainian Grandmaster, he is slightly better according to the evaluation bar. So it's quite unusual to see that from a player like Caruana so early in an opening with the white pieces.
And I did check, he is our generation. He is 1990 as well.
Yeah.
And
a good generation of chess players.
Decent generation.
Not even generation, just a birth year, right?
Birth year, exactly.
Incredible the amount of grandmasters born 1990.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue Fabiano is the same generation, born 92, but 90 specifically, doing very well. And Martin Kravtsev here, it looks like he's got a decent grip on the position. Maybe the question to answer would be whether he needs to react to pawn pushes, for example. Are there threats such as bishop takes knight, followed by a pawn push trying to trap the bishop? There are some tactics there, lots of exchanges. He just ignores everything, just defending his knight with his queen.
If I was Kravtsev, I definitely would have moved my bishop into the center and tried to trade off the white bishop pointing down on the diagonal. But I feel like maybe he's saying he wants to make that trade, but he wants to make it on the h3 square instead. And that's why he pushed his queen forward in support of that.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. That would be one of the most natural moves now. Unless Fabiano has a threat, I don't really see one. Black's bishop is not trapped yet.
Yet being kind of an important part of that, because that is the idea behind the way Fabi is playing, that bishop will be misplaced sooner or later.
Yeah, some potential pawn pushes to try and catch that piece, or yeah, maybe something jumping in a bit later. But I agree, like this white light squared bishop is by far the best minor piece. Trading it off makes a lot of sense. And this looks like a good direction to do so.
Spending quite a lot of time here.
Yeah, Fabi having a 50-second time lead is very unusual to see.
Yeah, that's true. And there we go, Kravtsev getting the bishops off. Fabiano, I feel like people could take advantage by just playing a bit faster against him. Kravtsev overthinking what was quite a natural plan.
Yeah, and Magnus against Caruana in the World Blitz Championship in the playoff section. He showed that it's very important if you can just play very quickly. Caruana, he is kind of a perfectionist, trying to find the best moves at all times. And although his blitz chess has gotten a lot better, I feel like sometimes people give him this rumor of not being good in blitz chess, but he obviously is. He's in the lead right now of the tournament, but the players are also kind of slowing each other down. When your opponent thinks for a minute, then you kind of allow yourself a longer think. And Fabi had almost a minute extra on the clock, and he's spending all of it on this move.
And I think also Fabi is due some praise there about his blitz ability, because he was genuinely not very good in the past, but he has made a real effort into getting better at the faster time controls, because he's seen what we all can see, which is that chess is getting faster paced and more tournaments have a faster time limit, and he's adapting to that.
And even classical chess is speeding up a little, with fast classical being kind of a new thing. So certainly very important. And yeah, it looks like they're both slowing down in this section of the game.
Yeah, it's noticeable that players slow down a lot more as the tournament goes on, as they realize, oh, the finishing line's almost in sight. I'm in the lead.
Got a perfect score.
Exactly. Stakes are getting higher and higher. You automatically double check and overthink things. But okay, pawn up now for Kravtsev, grabbing white's isolated pawn on the edge of the board. And important that after some hits on the black queen, maybe a step back with the check, but she can also just retreat, defending everything. Does Fabiano have enough compensation here? Eval Bar says no, but in practical terms, it does look a bit clumsy for black.
Yeah, but the benefit of taking that pawn is that that pawn can no longer trap the black bishop. We talked about how black's bishop was the pain point in Kravtsev's position and the potential for Fabi to attack it in the future. By taking the pawn on a4, not only has he won an important pawn, but he's taken out one of the main ways Fabiano was going to create trouble for black's position. So now if just the black knight and queen manages to get back alive, then Kravtsev will win this game.
Oh, many things to calculate, though. Some candidate moves. There is a pawn hanging down here. The black queen could get tempted, or maybe just retreat with the knight. 2 pawns up now for Kravtsev, but the queen is in no man's land.
He needs to get that queen back. This is very, very dangerous for black, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, he needs a couple of moves to get her back. He's trying first, though, to hit Fabiano in the center. It is 2 pawns. It is a lot of material. Black's king is a bit bare. And threats now.
Oh.
Watch out. Check threatened with a pin on the pawn in front of the black king.
That's what I would call like a cheap trick, you know, just like threatening something like that. Like obviously your opponent is a grandmaster. They're going to see that move. And then you have to ask yourself, was it a good move in that case? But at least the situation is improving for Caruana according to the evaluation bar.
Yeah, there might be some tactics here. You can nudge the black queen. If she takes this pawn, there's a skewer in the center because the black rook is no longer defended at the top of the board here. Also, some knight jumps potentially hitting the black rook. You can't move your queen out the way because the white knight jumps out the way with a check.
Ooh, that's nice.
Oh, the queen is almost trapped. Does she just have to... Only one safe square there. She does have to move. Fabiano now hunting down the queen and her bishop.
He's getting the bishop.
Yeah.
The queen has to... Oh, never mind.
Oh, only move. You're right. If she'd stepped into the center, the white pawn would have also advanced and the bishop would have been lost. But this is a famous pattern, keeping 2 rooks honest with just 1 queen.
That may have just saved Kravtsev.
Yeah. Fabio has a draw if he wants to repeat the position. Does he want more?
It was as if he was answering you there. But now with only a minute left, 30 seconds extra for Kravtsev here. I guess that's going to be a part of Caruana's decision right now. Maintain the lead, not be left behind.
I think the Ukrainian was even considering playing on down a bishop because he has a couple of pawns and he has a huge time advantage. I don't think Fabi should be hesitating here because now Kravtsev might genuinely... Oh, never mind.
A good practical decision, though. I think that's exactly the point. Fabiano could not risk it any longer, and only Kravtsev really had that temptation.
But that was exciting until the end there with perhaps the 2 leaders of the tournament after this 7th round. It depends on how the final player with the perfect score, Makarian here on the left with the white pieces, has more time against Deak and has a better position, has an same amount of pieces.
But we saw Makarian winning one of these rook endgames against Hikaru Nakamura in an earlier round. And just like then, the Makarian's king, is much more aggressively placed than his counterparts.
Yeah, I thought that was a purposeful slip there, Maud. He has an extra king, basically, in these endgames. He's retreated the king. I wonder whether he could have just continued advancing, just gone all in with some rook checks, some mating ideas against the black king. Still better. Still much better here for white.
But I'm so surprised to see that Makarian, he is an international master, and look at his rating, 3,122. Is that because he's not prioritizing playing that much classical chess to get the grandmaster title? Because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I think his rating is almost 2,600. So, I mean, it's just a lack of grandmaster norms, I suppose. I think he has the classic reputation of being the best non-grandmaster in the world, which the holder of that title has a tendency of changing quite often because these guys become grandmaster eventually.
Maybe he's trying to keep that record. He doesn't want to let it slip. But he has let the advantage slip in this game. He should have gone with his king first, king in front of the pawn. That would have forced the black king away from any blockades earlier. There were some checkmating threats as well, but advancing with his pawn first has lost the advantage. And black's
spending time.
Counterplay, 9 seconds, 8 seconds.
Oh my gosh, he's spending so much time.
Deyak is celebrating already. He knows he's going to win this.
What has happened with his time?
Is that internet connection thing? Wow, Makarian could force a draw, even here and now, with some checks, but the clock deciding. That is huge for the standings.
That is a really sad way of losing in that case. But we see that Deyak, he is happy. That means that he is joining Caruana and Kravtsev in the lead, along with Dubov. Nobody has a perfect score anymore after the 7th round. So
Hikaru's out of the running as well as Magnus. No, Magnus is still in, right?
Still just about, but might have to win the rest of his games.
Yeah, but Hikaru's now out. After that loss, he can maximum get 9 points.
Yeah, he was about to get checkmated by Dubov when he resigned, and Dubov in form, taking down Hikaru Nakamura, now gets the reward of facing Fabiano. Nobody can get 11 out of 11 this week.
And we see also Norwegian Elham. I'm always rooting for the Norwegians. He is also apparently doing better than Magnus, his countryman. And we'll get back to the country standings later. But right now it is a duel between Fabiano Caruana, who's in the lead with 6.5, together with Alexander Dubov. And Dubov, he is choosing the Sicilian opening, so he wants to win this.
Yeah, Dubov normally plays e5 with black if he's content with just a draw. He does go for, an interesting take on the Sicilian dragon. He's intending to fianchetto his bishop, but this pawn push is aiming to slow down White's kingside pawn storm. Fabiano, in the meantime, getting ready to castle on the opposite flank. Very interesting. These positions tend to be quite fiery a bit later on. Ooh, odd square for the bishop there.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm going to start paying attention more to the openings. And I've played this with white, but I'm not sure I would have played the bishop back that way. But now it's looking like it makes more sense, because then you get to trade your knight for the knight instead of your light squared bishop.
Mm-hmm. Fabiano is holding off. He's asking Dubov, for example, to go for a very typical Sicilian sacrifice, rook for knight. But the white king, a bit later on, might scoot the other direction. And Fabiano would just have a material advantage. So the white king very flexible here to decide which flank to go to. Dubov just develops.
Are there any reasons to go queenside at this point?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, it is more of a positional battle. I always wonder why computers favor white so much in these positions, this pawn structure specifically.
Yeah, it's kind of like the position that Magnus had a couple of games ago when I was like, this is the kind of position where I don't know what to do. This is also a position where I don't know.
We're going to see your A3 move now.
Oh, okay. And then we move the knight back around into... Okay, thank you for illustrating this.
I did
maybe not
tongue-in-cheek a little bit.
Next time I play classical chess, you'll have to look out for this.
But this is why he maybe should have played pawn to A3, because Fabi wanted to go with his knight into the center like he just did. But now after the trade, the black knight gets forward, attacking everything that white has in the center. And we see the instant response from the eval bar. Not too happy about this decision from Fabi. On the other hand, now that Dubov didn't take up the gauntlet, now Fabi can make the trade and play the C3 move. We talked about in one of the previous games, where this pawn formation of pawn on B2 and pawn on C3 is doing a great job of hindering the bishop on the diagonal.
Yeah, great spot. And Fabiano agrees. He's happy to keep the knights on the board a little longer as well.
I saw Fabiano cleaning his glasses, and I don't mean to offend you guys, but I feel like because I'm sitting here with two people, with two grandmasters wearing glasses, as a person...
Both of which have better eyesight than you, just for the record.
That's exactly a part of my point. Why on earth are you people not wearing contact lenses? Why do chess players never wear contact lenses?
That's true. Like, I know very few who do. I have a phobia of sticking things in my eye.
I mean,
in general.
same. No, I mean...
Get over it.
No, but contact lenses is based on the fact that you're supposed to train yourself out of a evolutionary kind of
reflex
to protect your eye. It makes no sense. Whereas for someone as, willing to danger as you are, see no problem in that whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's a huge advantage in like when you're doing different sports. And I mean, staring at a screen, you need special glasses to do that in a good way. Like, I'm always shocked. Every time I ask a chess player, "Oh, how bad is your eyesight since you're wearing glasses?" And it's like, and I think to myself, if I had that eyesight, I wouldn't be wearing glasses at all. I would just not bother. And I wouldn't be surprised to learn the same is true for Fabiano, who's had to wipe his glasses twice so far during this game, spending time and seconds on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got glasses pretty late. I was 18 when I got my glasses. And one thing I feel like people could have warned me about is that you will never really manage to see the world in the same way again, because keeping the glasses clean is nigh impossible. It's such a hassle.
It's eternal. Like it's a lifelong task keeping the glasses clean. I think that's like there's a kind of stereotype of chess players, especially grandmasters. They can't drive and they don't wear contact lenses. It's glasses or nothing.
Okay. Yeah, I support the can't drive thing. I mean, that's just what kind of... This is people who are prioritizing moving wooden pieces all their life. I mean, they're not going to be doing practical things. That I can understand. Glasses give 150 ELO, one of our viewers is saying. And I'm wondering, maybe that's what I'm trying to hint at. Are people doing this to seem kind of smart? And I don't know.
You're missing out.
Maybe you would blunder less in your games if you had a better vision of the board.
Ooh, shots fired. Or is that a compliment?
Exactly. The potential
My potential is there, yeah. All right, I'll try that. I'll try that next time I play. And we'll see.
Do you have glasses?
Of course.
Does even glasses exist in your wildly poor eyesight?
Yes. Yeah, but my eyes are also different strength, so that's another part of it. But in the meantime, Caruana adjusting his glasses and is now dealing with a pawn break in the center.
Very timely. If this hadn't happened, then white might have just been kicking back the black knight, pushing pawns forward, and black would have been riddled with an isolated pawn for the rest of the game, a backward 1-2. Black does have a slightly worse pawn structure, doubled F pawns, but they do keep the king safe, and that's quite nice in blitz chess, in quicker time formats. The rest of the black pieces look very, very active. I must say, I probably prefer black here. I really enjoy this pawn structure in general, especially because they control so many central squares. I think Dubov, maybe lower on time, would be the happier of the two, though, with an equal result here.
I like white's bishop in the center, though. Protected by a pawn, no black pawns can attack it. It seems like it has a very, very long-term, easy future.
That is true. Definitely the best piece for white right now. To trade or not to trade, the black rook is being stared at. Okay, the bishop's potentially coming off. Or will Fabiano say no and run away? No, he does exchange. If it's a king and pawn endgame, everything else being exchanged off, white will win with the 3 versus 2 majority. Not that you can really afford to look too far into the future.
Yeah, but maybe Caruana can, because he has a lot more time.
Fabi also now has the d5 square for his knight. He could potentially try and push his pawn forward and maneuver his knight around. And if he gets, like, the problem of this pawn structure for black, having played it myself as black a couple of times, and the only thing I've realized is that I don't understand what's going on. But these weaknesses along the central file, the d file, is not to be taken too lightly. I'm not sure why the computer is saying it's still completely equal when Dubov is hesitating about taking back the pawn.
Yeah, maybe the only alternative. I mean, why would you agree to go into a position of pawn down? What is he thinking about Dubov? He does eventually. Oh, apparently it's a blunder due to this move.
But then I don't understand, why wasn't he in huge trouble to begin with? Because now both the pawn on the edge and the knight in the center was under attack. Dubov is going to lose a pawn.
Wow.
But the main problem here, I mean, it's not good being down a pawn, of course, but he's down a minute on the clock.
Yeah, that is by far the more pressing issue here. Dubov saw that queen trade coming. That's why he reluctantly kind of paused there, burnt even more time. Apparently the only way was to play very actively, go for some active pieces and try to come in with his bishops with the queens on. This position with the queens on would be very different. But now Fabiano can try to bully Dubov with the threat of exchanging things. And there we go. He's happy to exchange a bishop for knight. 26 seconds just isn't enough. The bishop is hit.
Even if Dubov managed to find some saving plan, he wouldn't be able to execute it in time.
This is a winning endgame as well for Fabiano, who's just debating whether to push his pawn or maybe whether to support it with his rook. He supports it now with the rook.
I mean, computer says it's almost like Dubov can save it, but with the time situation, there's just no hope, which is part of the reason why I feel like players need to be a bit more attentive to their time usage. And we're in month, 5 of this time control? And people still haven't completely kind of perfected it, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Dubov, he's an infrequent visitor to Title Tuesday. Yeah. It's one in every few weeks, and definitely feels like this game, the clock has been so surprisingly used. The white king is now coming. You can even walk into a discovered check. There we go. The king is such a good piece. And Fabiano, he's going to get the job done. Especially rook versus bishop. You can pre-move rook moves on light squares for eternity.
Oh. Yeah, that is a very good point.
In a position like this, there would be some chance to save yourself for Dubov if they were equal on time, right? But as it stands, there's just no chance.
Or back in the day when there was increment, he might have had a chance to save it, but not this time. Caruana gets the win and moves up to 7.5 out of 8 in the second break.
Wow. So that was round 8. There are still some players that have seconds left. Do we have time to go and see how anyone is doing? We see that our good friend and colleague, Kravtsev, he also climbs up to 7.5 points against Deak. And we see also a draw between Andreikin. You want to say something?
Yeah, no, very interesting that the two guys in front already played each other.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's going to be a struggle to kind of see how many points can they get against the rest of the field.
But now I see Magnus. I see him for the first time in the standings in a very long time. He has caught up to 6.5 points, meaning he trails the leaders by 1 point. And Hikaru, you said that he lost the second game earlier, so he's out of the running. But this could be an opportunity for Sam Sevian, for Wesley So. There are still so many of these players who haven't won a Title Tuesday since they changed the format and removed the increment. But let's get ready for the final 3 rounds of Title Tuesday. All right, and let's also take a look at one of the more dramatic moments or time scrambles that we saw earlier in today's 5th round between, well, not exactly in the time scramble, but a dramatic game here for Alexander Bortnik, who's won Title Tuesday and has done really well. But there was chaos and there were pieces that could be taken in every single direction.
Exactly. It was a real tactical battle. Lots of skirmishes here, overworked pieces, stuff hanging, Black's bishop on the edge of the board hanging, the knight in the center as well. And ultimately, it was Bortnik unable to keep things together. He spent a lot of time on this move and the next few moves. And Kokoulos Arditis, the Greek grandmaster, was able to navigate the complications really well, eventually landing an attack on the dart squares. Black's dart square bishop, queen, rooks, knight coming in, and a nice sacrifice here at the end with some checks and mates incoming. Settled it. 18 seconds was enough. Bortnik tried to struggle on, but after the bishop was captured, we saw a deadly check from the black pawn, and then the rook deliver the killer blow, winning the white queen. 2 queens appeared, and Bortnik was forced to resign.
And it's always interesting to see like in those final moments when the Greek Grandmaster has 20 seconds left and he starts looking for the mate in twos, mate in threes, and you're not finding them, and you're like, should I just make moves or should I keep on looking and trying to find the correct way to end this game? So that was difficult for him. And also, when you finish with only seconds left on the clock, you're almost immediately thrown into the next game.
Yeah, no, there's no rest for the wicked. The Title Tuesday format is a very, very intense one. And, you get tough opponents every single round. And I said at the beginning of the tournament that it's a lot to do about how you react to an unfortunate result or even an unfortunate move. And that perseverance has been good for the top guys.
And one way, I guess, you could kind of try to pay attention a little bit, like how good are you at overcoming a bad streak of losses, is to use the Take app. Because right now I am sharing my screen, and what I wanted to show you guys today is something that I did not believe. I thought it was a bug in the app. Because, David, when I visited your profile,
oh no,
and you said that you were sick, what did I see? I saw, under all the activity, I saw more games than I have played probably in the past year. You played in a single day. Look at this. Look at how many games David played. And how many hours was this, David?
So I was unwell. I was in bed. I was bedbound, but I had my phone with me. I played for 9 hours without taking a break, without finding food, without visiting the bathroom. Don't try it at home, everyone. It's not healthy. But chess is addictive. And with the Take app, I was able to analyze things afterwards. All my friends and colleagues also saw this, which was the downside. And as you see there, shaming me. But it was a lot of fun. Even Ella Carlsen getting involved. There we go.
Yeah, that's very funny. And do you feel like you become any better at like overcoming when you lose a couple of games in a row? Are you not tempted to at any point just say, okay, I'm done playing?
The temptation's always there. And in the back of your mind, you should be doing the right thing, putting the phone down. But we're chess addicts for a reason, right? I think we've all been there at some point.
And I also think it's fun when you have kind of played 105 games while sick. It's kind of fun to show people that you did. So in the Take app, which you see the QR code for in the top left corner, I had to guess which side that was. You can also join and comment on David's crazy afternoon sessions, Flag City, all-night blunder marathon from my sick bed. It's a lot of fun updates. So you can join that in the QR code.
Yeah, I also noticed you can follow Magnus. He has a profile there. His first game today, the Queen Sacrifice, the position he was mated, that's already on the app. You can see anytime he's live, anytime he's playing online on Chess.com or on Lichess.
And right now he is getting ready. We see that he is in 16th place, and there's only about 30 seconds until the next round. Final 3 rounds now. What kind of ambition should Sam Sevian, should Caruana, should Kravtsev, to not forget him? I mean, this could be his opportunity of a lifetime to win Title Tuesday.
Yeah, I just no short draws. You got to fight it out. You got to be the deserving victor, and try to play good moves. It's a difficult thing, playing good chess moves over and over again, especially against other players who've performed well so far. But that's the recipe for success.
Yeah, this is the time to be a hero. There's still some surprise names on here. I don't know the Uzbek player Suyarov very well. He's in the chasing pack. Madavi is a young Iranian player, but this feels like one of the most open weeks in the split so far. I could still imagine anyone on 6.5 also winning. But here we go. We get the pairings, and it's Sam Sevian's opportunity to strike against Caruana. Kravtsev plays Suyarov. Oh, big opportunity for him as well.
Yeah, and like you said, they've already played each other, some of these top guys. But this is 2 top guys that know each other very well, both representing the United States, have known each other all their lives. They must know each other's openings in and out as well.
Yeah, and Sevian here is playing into something very topical very popular at the top levels these days. The bishops getting exchanged, black taking on these two doubled pawns in the center of the board. Yeah, you get more central control with more pawns in the center. You also open up for your rook along the f-file, but there's some lack of flexibility because the pawn behind the backward of the two doubled pawns doesn't have the option of getting out of the way if it's attacked, for instance.
Yeah, and black's bishop is also passively placed, tends to be a bit of a bystander in the next phase of the middle game. We'll see Sam Sevian maneuver his knights around, protecting his king, just in case Fabiano did want to use that semi-open line as a bit of a springboard. We see a knight trade offered. Always got to calculate in these situations. I don't think there are any tactics against that knight right now. But white does have a space advantage on the opposite flank. If white survives, the later middle games, the end games, they tend to be in white's favor.
And Sam Sevian also wearing glasses today. Another player proving my point. What is the strength of your eyesight?
What is your point at this point? That good chess players have glasses? Because in that case, the point isn't working out in your favor.
Even Magnus sometimes wears glasses these days, quite successfully.
That's true. Hikaru is not usually wearing glasses anymore, but he did when he was younger. I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, and sunglasses too, even in classical games. But this time, battle of Sam Sevian and Fabiano. I really like what Sam's doing. He's pushed back the black knight, which is a very passive piece now, at least for the next couple of moves, and he's finally breaking in the center, saying, okay, I'll either get a very strong pawn center, or I'm going to ruin your structure even more. And if that trade had happened, there would have been some targets on a newly open file. Black has a nice piece, but alone it won't cause too much damage. Fabiano lower on the clock as well. Sam's doing everything right so far.
It's leading up, and he knows that he has to win. He is half a point behind. I'm sure that the players have spent a little bit of the break they just had looking at the standings. They must have done that because there's 3 rounds left, and now it's really starting to mean a lot. I mean, 10 points for Sam Sevian, that would shoot him far up on the standings for Split 2, could qualify him for the Chess.com Global Championship in April, which could secure him even more points in the Champions Chess Tour leaderboard overall, which is the way to the Esports World Cup. So this is very important.
Huge game, and it's going to be even more important for both of these two because it looks like Martin Kravtsev is about to deliver checkmate already.
Wow.
On board 2, so he's going to move up to 8.5 out of 9. He's
on a roll today.
Had a very one-sided win against Suyarov, or at least that result is incoming now. This position is still so tense though.
Yeah, very, very ambitious play from Fabi, just pushing those pawns up in front of his own king. Yeah, it's weakening the black king, but he's also trying to create some danger for white's king as the pawns approach.
Yeah, I'm surprised he kind of showed his hand and then didn't back it up. Being consistent, kind of bringing the queen out maybe, and just pushing those pawns looked like the way to go. But he's playing on the other side of the board now, keeping an eye on this pawn, defended for now, but also threatening to come in to an outpost. And the clock's leveling up. Fabi fighting well.
And the problem for Sevian is he cannot protect against this c4 outpost for black's knight, because the only piece that can really control that square is the queen, but the queen is needed to protect the white king.
There would have been tactics if she'd moved away. Knight takes pawn check, and the black rook would have been staring down a knight, so that knight did retreat.
Okay, so that was why he played the knight to h2. And now when Fabi does get his knight to that square, Sevian at least has an immediate response.
Yeah. Well, but now Fabi, I think, is going to be willing to sacrifice something. Like if the white queen tries and chase away the black knight, something like queen b3 here, then I think Fabi is going to sacrifice a pawn in the center and really get a lot of energy in his pieces, pointing down on white's king. Not, of course, helped by the fact that white's queen is kind of moving away from the defense of the king at the same time.
Ooh, we might see it.
Oh.
First a tickle of the white queen, asking her where she wants to go. Also, it's nice to find out what your opponent's intentions are. If Fabiano, once he can bring his knight back and say, okay, repetition or not, he'll get some information there.
But if he does, then Sevian might push his pawn on the side of the board, kind of preventing the knight from returning, right?
That's true. So Fabiano may be looking at the other side of the board now. He just drops his bishop back. Very controlled play so far. Momentum feels like it's on black side, despite the eval bar being in the center.
Now, why are you moving your knight into the center when the black knight, the rook into the center when the black knight can just return to its outpost?
Maybe he doesn't know what else to do right now. I mean, what else is Sam supposed to be doing? It seems like Fabiano's plan is quite clear. He's at least attacking on either the right side or in the middle.
Maximum tension. Yondovik, you were right. D5 was played just to protect the knight. And yeah, things are getting a bit scary now, I would say, for white. I just really don't like these two pieces. They just look like sitting ducks ready to get hit by some black pawns that are advancing right now. The two black knights look glorious. Watch out, there's a threat. Some forks.
There's a pawn hanging on the left side, but that pawn is like the pawn you never even consider taking. But I was kind of considering it right now because I thought maybe the pawns could help that bishop out of problems. But Sam doesn't want to create any more problems for himself. He wants to trade the queens.
Might be a Norwegian thing. The Norwegians are infamous for grabbing pawns.
No.
That's good.
And regretting it.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily, to be fair. But Fabi's about to grab a pawn.
Oof. That knight is almost trapped. If it retreats, well, it doesn't want to go into the corner. If it retreated, the black knight would have come in with some devastating checks. So this is a...
Might still do it, though.
Yeah. It's a cool idea, deflecting the black knight away to try and take the one in the center. But this check does look very tempting.
Yeah, but the problem now is that white's knight can capture the black bishop at the end of that. Yeah. So Fabi decides to get the bishop out of there. I want to win the pawn more than I want to create a knight fork.
This is looking promising for Fabiano now, and he has 10 more seconds, which is not a lot, but feels like he's the one who's been making threats and improvements.
Yeah, there was a moment he could have pushed his pawn forward. That was quite a fast pawn to start running. There were also some other ideas tactically, but now at least white has a bit of a grip. It's not so easy for black to make progress here. Ooh, the white pieces are very active. The white knight, especially with the time scramble incoming, it's going to be so stable and so flexible. Playing with bishops in time scramble is the worst thing. The opponent just moves everything on light squares, and what's the black bishop ever going to do? But here we go. Fabiano is banking everything on his pride and joy, the pass pawn.
He's very dependent on that pawn pushing even further forward, because right now the pawn in the center is blocking the black bishop from kind of contributing. And if the white knight was able to maneuver itself in front of that pawn, then all of black's pieces would be really, really bad. But Fabi, I guess, correctly is saying that I will be able to push the pawn forward.
Very important, the white king as well can't act as a blockader. And ooh, knight for bishop exchange. That shows that Sevian is probably happy with the draw, which makes sense. He's a pawn down and downtime on the clock.
How much does the time situation matter right now?
I think we'll find out very shortly. It could be a case of everything disappearing from the board here and now.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it right now.
Suddenly, Sevian is better, but he's only better to the degree that he will be able to salvage the draw, right?
Here we go.
Right?
Ooh.
Oh,
it's the black king in time to start running over.
I don't think it is.
Maybe. Ooh, threaten some checkmates, buy some time on the opponent's clock. I think he is just in time.
Never mind.
This square is the key. Now the question is whether they want to flag each other.
Oh.
Sevian says yes, he doesn't want the rooks off. Oh, Sam. Wow, this will be ruthless.
Oh, jeez.
No, but there's no way Fabi doesn't survive 50 moves with 20 seconds, right?
Yeah, his king is a bit awkward for black.
Oh,
He can't pre-move yet.
this is scary.
Oh gosh, this is the most ruthless thing I've seen in ages.
No, there's no chance he loses on time with 20 seconds. That's an average of half a second per move. He should be able to do that, no?
20 more moves. 20 more moves in 10 seconds.
Oh.
He's actually up on time now, Fabiano. Maybe the shoe will be on the other foot.
Oh my gosh, if Sam loses because of this.
Oh wow, Sam, what are you doing? 5 seconds. Oh.
Okay, he bailed out.
Just in time.
But I like the fact that he was considering trying there. He was like, let me test you before you assume that this is just going to be a draw. So that was a fight till the very bitter end. And we can see some of the other results right now coming in. It is Kravtsev of the 1990s generation that is rooted for here in the studio because of that, who is leading 8.5 points, hasn't won Titled Tuesday, not to my knowledge, and definitely not since they changed the format to be no time increment. This is going to be huge for him.
Some other 90s chasing him, Jan Nepomniachtchi and Andreikin, but the biggest 90 of them all, Magnus Carlsen, is nowhere to be seen. He has lost this round against Andreikin and is out of the running.
He's out of the running. Wow. And this is really an opportunity for a lot of players to catch up some points to the leader, Magnus Carlsen, who has the most amount of points in the winter split in the Champions Chess Tour standings overall. And this is an opportunity to catch up 10 points if used correctly. So we are going to be following Alexei Sarana, who has won Title Tuesday several times in his life, against Fabiano, who's having a good day. But Fabiano has had a lot of long games, and he must surely get slightly tired from this now.
Yeah, it feels like he's losing a bit of steam. There's been some time scrambles and maybe not as speedy as we saw from him earlier in the day. We see a Queen's Gambit declined, rock solid. And okay, now the Carlsbad pawn structure with black having a nice pawn chain, white having a nice pawn chain, and some maneuvers around. Still a lot of opening theory in positions like this. Fabiano, what's he going to do? He moves his rook. The white knight goes back, stopping black from jumping into a nice square in the center. And some maneuvers. Sarana, his score with white is just phenomenal in all time formats, but yeah, with white, more so than black. He is a bit of a heavy hitter. And Fabiano's got a set of pieces off the board, is happy now to retreat. This is something that Magnus enjoys, this type of pawn structure.
Is Fabi happy with a draw now when he's half a point behind?
Oh, you think he's in must-win territory almost?
I don't know. But he regardless, he needs someone to take points off Kravtsev. And for Fabi, you know, getting a draw here, if Kravtsev loses, then there will be a huge amount of guys on 7.5 points. Is that kind of the best thing to hope for? Or maybe I should listen to my own advice, which is don't look that much at the standings and just...
I thought you were asking this as like a hypothetical question, and you were going to shame me if I didn't say, yeah, of course he has to win.
Yeah,
Martin Kravtsev, he's playing against Andreikin. So I guess is that a player that Karana trusts?
No, not particularly. Okay.
Okay.
Well, he just did beat Magnus, so obviously he's capable.
Yeah, former candidate, 1990. You know, I trust Andreikin, but we will see. Kravtsev has played a very aggressive Sicilian against Andreikin. Looks like a good position again for Martin Kravtsev. So maybe it will be must-win territory. I think at this point, either there's a heavy pile-up on one score and everything decided by tie-breaks, or Kravtsev might just run away with it. In the meantime, more exchanges incoming. At least that's what Fabiano is trying to do. He's got an isolated pawn now. But is that enough of a factor for white to press a real advantage? This pawn nicely blockaded by white's beautiful knight. The black bishop as well, a bit of a problem piece. I think we all take white here, but do we think it's a big advantage? Is it enough for Sarana?
I'm surprised by that move, because now Sarana can just take the knight. I felt like Fabi was waiting for white to push the pawns forward on the king side, and then he could make that knight maneuver. When white's pawn would be blocking the white bishop. I'm very surprised by how nonchalantly Fabi allowed that trade to happen.
Wow, big moment as well. Queen for 2 rooks. What do you fancy here, Fabiano? He says no. Mathematically makes sense. You get 2 rooks for a queen, but queen and knight combine really, really well. And I don't think black's rooks would have had many targets, so I can see why he dodged that. But the dream now for Sarana is to trade off the rooks and the queens and end up with a beautiful knight against a rather sad passive bishop. Oh, this is going to be a lot of suffering for Fabiano, but okay, he has found a good square for his rook.
And there's so much left of the game when they have more than 3 minutes. It feels like we're entering this phase at a very early time of the game.
Yeah, he's loosened up the white pawn structure, but he couldn't take anything there. White's got everything covered. Oh, I would hate to be defending this position with black. Just feels like endless suffering.
Oh.
Maybe not even endless.
Maybe very short and
Immediate
sweet.
suffering.
Oh, wait, why would you not go in with your queen there?
He was maybe worried about the pawn on a3. No, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that looked like a very healthy move.
I'm surprised Fabi didn't make this queen check a move earlier. Because it's kind of awkward to deal with for Serrana.
Tickling Serrana there, saying, okay, are you going to make progress? He's continuing to attack a3 and e3, 2 pawns. White queen's back where it came from. Will he get a second opportunity to come in a bit later? Fabiano might be wanting to block that at some point.
And I'm realizing this point you had, David, about the fact that maybe the knights are a bigger advantage, specifically in these kind of speed chess formats when there's no increment, where they're more unpredictable, and then the bishops. Okay, well now they're traded off.
I think David makes a really, really good point when he says that.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, I'm surprised by seeing these players trading the knight off for the bishop, both here, Serrana, but also in the previous move with Sevian. Sevian. I thought David's point was so good that it surprises me that these top players are not more considerate of that aspect.
Yeah.
They're still playing great moves, but yeah, it's a practical thing. It's half an eye on the clock. It's this format that we're watching every single week, and patterns do emerge.
And maybe they're also used to it from like when they play with in classical tournaments and other things, then often the bishop can be better than the knight in certain end games with pawns on each side. And then they're not really thinking about the fact that I'm going into a time scramble here. They're just trying to play the best move objectively. And in this case, maybe Serrana thought, okay, now I've weakened your pawn structure quite a bit. And it seems a little bit difficult for Fabi to make any progress.
Well, Fabi's not making any progress. The question is whether Serrana can, and right now it looks as though he cannot.
Yeah, just no pawn breaks. That's the issue. Like the queen can target pawns, and the black queen would just defend those. At some point, maybe a queen exchange with the white king rushing into the center is the goal. So you might be contemplating moves like this one, just asking for the queen exchange. But unless you're 100% sure, unless you can calculate, which apparently he did there, then you don't really want to risk it. Fabi is happy to go passive. Objectively, I don't think it's changed, the knight for bishop exchange. It's still only white can win, really unpleasant to defend for black. But yeah, maybe it's just too one-dimensional for white now, just with the queen alone.
Oh, and Andrejkin has a bit of an advantage in the other very important game with Martin Kartsev, who is in the lead with 8.5 ahead of these two guys. And obviously they can't be checking that game during this game. Another huge difference between online speed chess and a tournament where you might sneak a peek to the neighboring table and see how is it going over there with a round left.
Well, I think everyone's cheering for Andrejkin, who will blow the field wide open. Better that he gets the win than Kravtsev, of course. Tie breaks Andrejkin. He's coming up now into the lead. I don't think they'll be as good as Kravtsev, who's already been there for a long, long time. Oh, Fabiano's getting active now, and it feels like there might be some perpetual checks. Watch out if black gets a pawn forward. There might be even checkmating ideas against the white king.
Whoa.
Might be time to bail out for Serrana, low on the clock as well. Yeah, that knight for bishop exchange just felt like it just fizzled out immediately.
And now he's really having a think, and he does not look happy, Serrana. He looks like he's
Gonna bail out with a draw.
And Andrejkin has won, which means that he also joins Kravtsev at 8.5 points. And one of these two players, if they win, they'll be in the lead alone.
Oh, big moment for these two. It does look like a draw is the most natural result, though, especially body language for Serrana. Watch out. Oh, there was a checkmate threatened. The white king steps back. And this is going to be a draw now by perpetual. Neither side really can hope to win. And there we go. It is a draw. Very, very balanced game. But Serrana probably the one with the more missed opportunities and regrets.
Very exciting now to see the standings.
And the standings will show that there are now 4 players at 8.5 points, but Nepo could also join them if he wins this game. He has a lot more time, but what is the position? What is going on here?
He's up a pawn, and there's some more threats against the white king than blacks, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, this should be a draw with best play, but Hikaru, you mentioned it earlier, Jon Ludwig, like the clock situation worrying for him. Watch out. There's some discovered check ideas against the king. It feels like even if you survive the position, you'll end up with rook versus rook and maybe just get flagged. Nepo could definitely be merciless here. Try and keep the game going as long as possible.
He looks determined, but he's spending his time right now.
Tactics in the air. Okay. Now black is winning, apparently. Where is the killer blow? Oh, he's just going to promote. He's just going to make a new queen. Discovered check also threatened. There's no perpetual. The black king has to find somewhere to hide. Where does it go? He sneaks forward. He's asking the rook to continue chasing it, but he's going to move towards the white
Look at
rook.
his expression.
Nepo's winning.
He knows it.
New queen incoming.
He's starting to dance.
He's just got to dodge. Feels like the checks are drying up. One more check and the king is going to snake its way back to safety. Nepo relaxes. Hikaru loses on time.
Wow.
Wow. Hikaru, Magnus just not quite at their best today.
And that means look at the top of the standings. There is really anyone's tournament with one round left. And let's maybe see how Sevian ends up in his game. It looks like he is going to win against Volkidov. And that would also mean that Sevian joins the 8.5 pack of players. So, ooh.
Sevian is winning, but he's got 3 seconds. I think he's going to win. Volkidov didn't even try to flag Sevian in that remaining game. And there we go. It's a pack of 6 now in the lead.
And that means it's very probable that several players will be tied for first, and that it's going to be the tie breaks that determine it. And the tie breaks in Title Tuesday, Ludwig, I mean, there's a lot of players who drop out during the tournament because it is online, you're playing from home. How do you think it's going to affect the winner?
I have very strong opinions about the tie breaks on the Chess.com online tournaments. I think they're making a mistake in not having what's called the progressive tie break, which I know was used in the youth championships when we were young, David.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you have some emotions about that system. But basically, it rewards you for scoring points early in the tournament because you then assume that the earlier you scored your points, the more difficult opponents you got later on.
Yeah, I'm so used to the Chess.com tiebreaks these days, but I agree. I have kind of traumatic memories of junior tiebreaks where I was always the victim, it felt like, of starting slowly and only getting the wins later. But it did feel fair. I never really saw anything objectively wrong with it. There's also pairing systems where colors are kind of neglected over scores and ratings in Title Tuesday. It's always favoring the kind of higher rated player to upfloat. Several upfloats in a row sometimes. I saw some posts about that too. In the meantime, we see a clash between Caruana and Duda, 2 of the leaders.
The 2 biggest names, I would say.
Yeah, because Duda, he's not even leading.
Oh, he's not even leading.
Oh, what? Never mind.
Oh, so there's 6 players. This is board 3. There's 6 players on 8.5 points.
Yeah.
But he's had an upfloat, and Kravtsev is the one to drop down to play Jeffrey Zhang.
Wow. And it's also because a lot of the players in the top, they've met each other already. So it was a little bit of a jumble to find someone that could play against Fabiano, who's played so many of these other guys. He's played against Sam. He's played against Serrana. He's played against Kravtsev. Caruana must have pretty good tiebreaks, but we can actually see online that it's Kravtsev who has the best tiebreaks of all of them, but only by a couple of points. So everything that happens in this round will mean something.
Yeah, you could even get unlucky and a couple of your former opponents drop out.
Yes.
And you don't get those points. In the meantime, we've seen a bit of an odd Nimzo Indian. I know someone in the studio who's written a course on the Nimzo Indian. So what do you make of this, Jon Ludwig?
Looks very, very good for Fabi. He's sacrificing his knight there to ruin Black's pawn structure. The Black king is going to struggle to find a safe haven for a prolonged period of time, even though all of White's pawns are on the dark squares and he has a dark squared bishop. Usually strategically very, very unfavorable for Fabi, but here it's more to do with the safety of Black's king rather than the strategic disadvantage of the bishop.
Exactly, and the Black Knight is just really bad. If he could pick it up and somehow put it on, this d6 square, for example, controlling everything, then Black is simply doing very well. Maybe he's going to run at some point towards this flank. But it looks really slow. And there we go, he does. But Fabiano, the bar goes even further in his favor. He's going to activate his bishop.
Yeah, so all Fabi needed was one pawn over to a light square, and he immediately creates a very, very good placement for his dark squared bishop. So he's not suffering that much with the bishop's inability to participate, essentially.
And it's also interesting that Duda, he can kind of use, maybe perhaps to his advantage, that Caruana, he needs to win if he wants to win the tournament. Maybe he'll overextend his position a little bit. So right now it seems like Duda, he's trying to consolidate, keep his pieces close to himself and hope that Fabi takes some big risks, perhaps. It can be an advantage when you know your opponent is like obsessed with winning the tournament right now.
Yeah, Duda's played this face very, very well. He's doing a great job.
And he's gotten his knight developed.
Yeah. Getting his king to safety and getting his knight involved. Yeah, he's down a pawn, but he's down a pawn in a fashion where the white king is very unsafe. And somehow he managed to make the black king safer than white's, which wasn't really obvious if we go back a couple of moves.
Exactly. And I was going to say it was instructive that neither side is caring about a pawn. Fabiano taking this one. But at least it does mean the white rook can get active a bit later. I don't know. I think this is just the position. It's hard to keep control with white suddenly. And momentum's
I'm
turning.
very surprised the evaluation is favoring Fabi this much, because I think in practical play, this is already kind of sketchy for him.
Ooh, that last move was very important, though. Pushing the pawn to keep the black knight offside. Keep it on the edge of the board. But definitely the white king feeling the heat. Fabiano trying to trade off. I guess if he exchanges everything, if it's just the queens and pawns, probably he has a big advantage since white has the furthest advanced of the pawns. So he's just happy to try and get the rooks off the board. If the black knight ever moves, he might even be tempted to take it. Okay, a very tense position. Best position Duda's had in a while. Does he take that knight off the board now?
Well, he has to, surely, right?
Before it starts jumping. Oh, yeah, I think practical terms as well. Oh, he's spending a bit of time.
Yeah, the thing is, if the knight is taken, queen takes back, and suddenly there's checks into the right corner.
Oh, that's true. It's a favorable exchange, or it's one that Fabiano probably wants to make, but maybe now is not the right moment.
Well, if you don't do it now, the knight is going to escape.
Yeah. Big moment. What does he play instead?
Fabi's actually down a minute and a half.
It's too slow.
Oh, gosh. And he's shaking his head.
Ooh, he pushes a pawn. He's saying, please take me, but then the queen will be slightly offside and maybe some tactics based on taking the knight.
I think he's just giving up a pawn on the side to make the strategically favorable trade of bishop versus knight at a moment where the black queen cannot target the white king after.
Exactly. He might want to get a rook to the 7th rank as well and replace it with a very strong pawn.
Magnus has won his game, but that means he ends up at 8 out of 11. Probably not even good enough for a top 10 finish.
Oof. Yeah, good score for most mortals, but for Magnus, disappointment. He wasn't fully healthy. We heard some coughing earlier, so maybe that's why. But I think it just started in round 1, that trend. Blundering checkmate in 1, getting back to 8 out of 11 is a decent.
It's very rare. I feel like Magnus, often when he makes like a big mistake like that, he can get very angry at himself or frustrated. And we've seen it so many times, his reactions. And the fact that he just kind of laughed it off, I almost took that as like a bad omen. That it's like, he's kind of in a carefree mood today. And he never really fully recovered from that. And these top other guys, they've avoided playing against Magnus, which is why they have so many points as well.
Yeah, most of them haven't played Magnus. Most of them haven't played Hikaru. And that helps. Maybe not helps their tiebreak, but overall score. I think this pawn is just going to be captured next to stop the black knight coming in. Suddenly Duda's lost most of his advantage on the clock.
Yeah, why is he spending so much time thinking?
Okay, he takes for the queen. Now, at least he's saying that if queen takes pawn, the black rook can come in. Okay, Fabiano allows it anyway. Rook check can just be blocked by the white bishop. Or, wow, he runs with his king. Even braver, even stronger. No time for black to do anything here. Queen check, white can just dodge. And the central pawn is hanging. He's winning now, Fabiano, according to the evaluation bar.
Wow.
I think he's actually found the most difficult moves. At some point, the White King might even start sprinting forward.
Yeah, and just pretend that that triple pawn is kind of a castled king rotated 90 degrees and pretend like it's safe there.
Oh, he's got the opportunity again. We were talking about this earlier.
Equal clocks. Crazy, considering how much extra time Duda had earlier in this game.
Okay, Fabiano closes things in, but okay, not a good move apparently. Maybe Black has some counterplay now. Wait, whoops. What are you doing against this idea? Does the White King have to now start running forward? But there might be a check. Fabiano took his eye off the ball for one move. Oh, gosh.
But he can just keep running up, right?
He has to. I think he just... Whoa, he has to run. He takes the knight off the board first. There's been a draw between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Alexei Sarana, so they move on to 9 points. They can be leapfrogged. Martin Kravtsov is losing right now against Jeffrey Xiong. And Fabiano, has he... Oh, he's
shaking his head. He's shaking his head.
Now the White King cannot move forward. There would have been a skewer on the Queen and King. Now the cage is closed around his king. It's Zugzwang. Can he even move a piece?
He has to go one step back with the queen. No, but then the rook...
Then the rook can
it's
come
just
and grab the
over.
pawn. He's trapped himself in the clock as well. Fabiano lost control. He was totally winning just a handful of moves ago.
No, and he would have won the entire title Tuesday.
Duda so consistent. Now this would be a crunching move. The queen sliding back instead. The clock's going to decide. Even if Fabi survives on position, now the rook can come behind, and we're going to get a result any second. Check. We're going to see some mates now on the board, or just a queen endgame. Poor Fabiano. He played so well all tournament, but it's fallen apart in just a few moves. And Duda gets the win.
Wow. And look at him. He was celebrating. And let's jump into another important game. Also, 2 players with 8.5.
Whoever wins this, I think, is the only player to end up on 9.5 points.
So this is the winner of the tournament.
Andrejkin, the 1990 year that we were talking about, that vintage. He's totally winning. It's so easy to make moves here as well. The pawn protects the king.
I feel like Andrejkin kind of deserves it by beating Magnus in the previous round. He's one of the only ones who played Magnus among the top guys.
Exactly. He's moving in as well for a checkmate. It's about to come, but Sam Sevian's going to lose on time, and Andrejkin with a fist pump. He reaches 9.5. We think he's the only one to make it there. Has he won the tournament?
It looks like it. It looks like he's the only one.
We thought there were going to be a huge amount of players on 9.5 points, given that there were 4 games going where the winner could get that score. But only one player makes it happen.
Oh, and I'm so happy to see Elham represent Norway in a good way, because as you may know from watching our broadcasts through the Norwegian lens, we are always looking at the country standings as well. And Norway, 5th place. I thought that Elham score would help, but of course the US, Poland, India, and also Greece, which we've seen several strong performances from today, winning there. But most importantly, the individual standings, obviously, Andrejkin, 9.5 points. Wow. And Hikaru and Magnus, nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's funny. This split, it feels like when Magnus has an off week, it's obviously a golden opportunity for Hikaru, but he tends to have an off week at the same time. Something was off with those two. Yeah, of course, they're super consistent. They'll be back. They'll be at the top of the table, but it is Andrejkin's moment. And some other big names joining. MVL with a late surge. Nepo, we saw him approach the top at the end. And Arjun Aragaisi as well, after a tough start, joining the pack on 9. But 9.5, it's the magic number. We see it every single week now.
And it's also kind of sad for Fabiano that he was doing so well for so much of the tournament. He's only going to get 1 measly point for the standings. And Sevian as well really had a promising performance and gets 0. It's very brutal, those final rounds.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Title Tuesday is the toughest tournament there is. And in some way, I think it's nice to be reminded how tough it is by seeing that even Magnus and Hikaru sometimes finish out of the top 20. Because it's very difficult to convey to people how tough this tournament is when Magnus is winning it half of the time.
Yeah.
But the reality is that one loss, one draw can kind of shake your confidence, can knock you out of even a position where you're completely winning. You make one unattentive move. The guy sacrifices his queen against you for a checkmate. And it's just these tricks exist everywhere, and you have to navigate them, you have to spot them, and you have to avoid them consistently through 11 harsh rounds. And well done to Andrejkin, who managed. He definitely had a surge there at the end.
Yeah, he won 3 games in a row, got really inspired after his win against Magnus, obviously, and didn't lose a single game, but he actually opened the tournament with a draw in the first round and was able to catch up. And so he didn't even need these tie breaks. But look at how much the tie breaks matter. Arjun Erigaisi playing in the Vaikonsei tournament, playing classical chess, then going immediately to his hotel room, rushing to get there probably to make the tournament on time, delivering a good performance, as good a performance as second place in points, and he only gets a couple of points for the standings.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
It's better to think of it as joint second rather than 8th place. He can say, okay, I came joint second, I'm in better form now, I'm going into my next classical games in Vaikonsei with confidence. If you say, oh, I was the 3rd, 4th seed and I came 8th, it's small margins here, of course. And I mean, Magnus winning half the time, that's impressive in itself. But in other sports, it's often 1 or 2 names dominating. Here, we're seeing multiple different winners. They might just get 1 or 2 wins of tournaments here and there. But yeah, it can definitely start a trend here for Andrejkin, for Duda, for others in the race for the EWC.
And so we will not be hearing from Andrejkin, but we're hoping to hear from second place Duda very soon. He ended up winning a fantastic, well, not really a fantastic game. That's not the right way to describe what happened against Caruana.
Well, I do think his defensive effort was very, very good. And even though the eval bar was always in Fabi's favor, we emphasized that Black's king was safer than White's. And in the end, that is what decided it in Duda's favor.
And we will hope that we can be joined by him, and we will also be hearing from Alex. Oh, hello. Can you hear us, Jan Krzysztof?
Yeah, hello. Sure.
Okay, I can't hear you, but maybe that's my fault. Maybe we can have Jon Ludvig, if you can hear him. Maybe you can talk.
I can hear you. Congratulations on that very, very tricky final game against Fabi. What were your thoughts there out of the opening?
Well, I didn't have a very good score, in the, let's say, middle of the tournament, and I didn't expect to get, any good place. Because I didn't check, the results before, in the last couple of rounds. And yeah, when I played Fabi, I realized that, it could be something. But, it's just have to play and not think twice, Yeah, in opening, I think I played the c6, which was pretty bad. Because, I wanted to play, bishop d6, knight d4, but I don't think I was on time. And... yeah, I wasn't very keen on my position.
Your king was in some trouble, but you managed to kind of get it out of the way and still keeping kind of the tension in the situation.
Yeah, I had to do something, I couldn't really castle, so I had to castle by hand.
And Jan Krzysztof, you lost in round 4. Were you at that point kind of... were you thinking, oh no, that was an early round to lose? Did you lose your motivation? Because you were really able to make quite the comeback in those final 4 rounds, winning all of them.
Yeah, you never know what you are going to get in the Start Tuesdays. Sometimes you just tend to win a lot of games, and sometimes you lose some game here and there. Of course, it was very unfortunate. Also, I think it was 6th round in which I got flagged. So, as said, I didn't really expect, any good result, and just continued to play. And I was fortunate enough, to win a lot of games and also have a good tiebreaker, which is kind of surprising, to be honest, because usually, I have better second tiebreaker, but the first one usually sucks, so...
Yeah, and you had the best tiebreak of 6 or 7 players that all had 9 points. I mean, it's quite the difference, the points that gives you to the Champions Chess Tour standings.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, usually as said, I'm on an inferior side, so yeah, it's nice to be to have a good one, and yeah, it's just fortunate, nothing more.
And did you ever notice during the tournament that both Hikaru and Magnus had a pretty tough tournament today? Do you ever check the standings in the breaks?
Yeah, I checked like maybe before round 7, to be honest, and yeah, I saw Hikaru was. We had like similar score, and Magnus was ahead, I think, like half a point, but then he lost one drake in. I saw the end game, so you just have to play and don't really look for your rivals because basically you have to win games. That's all you can have, all you can,
And you won 9 games today. You won 9 games, which is very impressive. And usually, if you just get that last draw, that would be enough to win the tournament. But congratulations on second place and a lot more points and increasing your probability to get to the Esports World Cup.
Thank you.
All right, that was Jan Krzysztof that got second place in front of a field of players, David, with 9 points. But he had good tie breaks despite losing in the 4th round. Really says something about how tipsy-turny this tournament kind of was.
Exactly. It's never easy. It's kind of just finding those tricky moves and defending difficult positions in those key crunch final rounds. Duda, he's been fantastic this whole winter split. He's always been up there. This is not the first time he's been in the top few spots. And it feels like he's a bit calmer now. There was a time when he wasn't enjoying it so much, but it feels like he's really embracing Title Tuesday each week.
And let's take a look at one of the top moments from those last rounds where we saw 2 great players in a pretty crazy rook ending here where the time was really the determining factor.
Exactly. This was a case of Jan Nepomniachtchi with double Hikaru's time and an extra pawn on the board, finding one last trick to get his famous opponent into making this key mistake. There we see the bar turn all black. Now black is winning by dodging the checks. There's a queen incoming. Black's about to make a new queen. And unfortunately for Hikaru, he wasn't in time to give perpetual check. Nepo here finding the key move, zigzagging his way out of danger and winning on board and clock.
And it was very dramatic, those final seconds, but the time here, Jon Ludvig, that's everything in Title Tuesday.
Yeah, the time when they get down to seconds, just it didn't really matter whether Nepo found all the right moves to get away from the checks, it feels like, because instead, at the end there, he was going to lose on time regardless.
And we are joined here in the studio by Alex Banzea. You have been playing from the streaming room today. You won your last game, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yes. It's been a tough event. I had a good start, but then one game got away in time scramble, and then kind of the tournament fell down like a house of cards. So this is truly the strongest online tournament in the world, and I felt it today.
But did you know that after 4 rounds, you had the same amount of points as Hikaru and Magnus? You had 3 points out of 4.
I didn't have time to check because I always had some scramble, but I had a good start. Then I think they ended up better than me, though. I can bet on that.
Yeah, you can bet on that, but they didn't do as well as they're doing. And we were talking about the fact that in this field with so many strong grandmasters, it's very difficult to predict who is going to consistently place among the top 10 players. And you're an international master. There are a lot of good title players in this tournament.
Yes, I was surprised today. Even one of my opponents, a candidate master, had very good opening knowledge and just got me under pressure early. So what you expect to be an easy game, you're playing against somebody that plays like a grandmaster undercover. So
Magnus lost to a national master who had a queen sacrifice against him for checkmate in 2 moves.
Wow.
And you're talking about the openings because you yourself, you are creating a lot of opening courses. So how much of that are you able to use in this tournament? Is that helpful?
It is very helpful usually, but even as you say, I'm the type of guy that studies chess nonstop and knows everything. Some days it goes smoothly, but other days like today, you get something new almost every game, which makes it very difficult. So it just motivates me to keep playing and trying to get better.
Yeah, and David, you have like some experience with creating openings. How important are openings like in blitz chess?
Yeah, I think they're extremely important, especially now with the kind of lack of increment. Once we've taken that away, it's so nice to just get a bit of a head start on the clock. If you know your ideas inside and out, there have been many times I've played a high-rated opponent, and just having that one trick buys you, or kind of gets you an extra 1 or 2 minutes, and that can decide later. So yeah, I must admit I'm a big fan. I watch a lot of Alex's videos, opening videos, Karakan, Jabava London, and yeah, I think a good tip for everyone at home to know their stuff.
And you have a YouTube channel, and you're doing a lot of chess content. But are you doing a lot of streaming as well? Was that like was that a new experience for you to be sharing your thoughts during the entire tournament?
I don't stream this specific tournament very often, just because of how difficult it is and how impactful it is on your play. Every second really matters. So I usually do educational content, but it's very difficult against these guys to also do the commentary. But okay, even though I didn't have such a good tournament today, the big win is that I get to sit around some of my chess idols here. So it's really the best experience to be around you.
Oh, that's very nice to hear. We're going to take a look at the split 2 standings, which we now can say that, I mean, Magnus, who's been leading, doesn't get anything. Sam Sevian, who was doing so well this entire tournament, got nothing. He got 11th place, so he gets 0 points. And then you have some players that kind of came out of nowhere. Andrejkin winning his last 3 rounds in a row. He gets 10 points, and he suddenly shoots up into the top 10, knocking somebody out. So, yeah, a lot can happen in one tournament.
Exactly. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave as well, starting badly, coming up and getting 5 points. I think we'll see lots of changes in these standings over the next few weeks and even into the next split. Magnus likely, well, he's guaranteed in the EWC. Hikaru's likely there as well. Denis Lazovic has a chance in the Speed Chess Championship. So the field is really open. Huge prize, Esports World Cup. And it's clear the top players are turning up because they see that opportunity.
But it's amazing that they're turning up, but they're not even getting any points. Because when we take a look at the Champions Chess Tour standings overall, all splits included, Magnus already qualified, as you mentioned, David, because he won last year's edition. But these other guys, it's very important for them to get the points. And Serrana, Andrejkin now actually passing Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and entering one of the qualification spots. Had it just been over today, he would have been qualified. So a lot can happen in a single tournament. And Alex, you watched the Esports World Cup. I mean, that is like... that is the dream of all these players. Do you have a dream of playing there someday?
No, not now. Maybe in 5 years.
In 5 years.
Something. My dream is to just focus on the educational part, and maybe one day when I'm like 30 and have no worries, to start playing against the kids. To be, we have the same amount of time, energy. I can focus against them. But for now, just the educational part.
That is very understandable. But anyways, thank you to everyone who has been watching today. It was a very exciting Tuesday, and we are going to be ready again for next week. See you then.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Magnus has blundered. Checkmate. That's checkmate. That is going to be the best moment of Bynum's career so far.
Good game.
Ooh, 6 seconds though. Oh, that feels wrong. That feels so wrong. And okay, he's swapping off the queens.
And look, Magnus, what is this expression?
So sluggish.
Oh gosh, he's not happy with himself in this game.
What is he thinking about Dubov? He does eventually. Oh, apparently it's a blunder due to this move. Dubov saw that queen trade coming. That's why he reluctantly kind of paused there.
Here we go.